his trip to Arizona to visit the Wildcats for some reason. He did make it out of Columbia. He's still going to have, I believe, a visit to Michigan. The difference being Shalstead and Badunga did not leave Louisville. They didn't let him leave until they got the price that they were looking for because they didn't want him to go take a trip anywhere else. Bryson Tiller did leave Mizzou without a commitment, but has canceled that trip to Arizona. Maybe he, you know what he's doing? He's like, why would I go to Arizona and play for Tommy Lloyd at Arizona and then have to transfer back to Kansas to play for Tommy Lloyd in 2027? Why don't I just stay at Kansas, and then I'll have Bill Self one more year, and then Tommy Lloyd will be the coach at Kansas after that? That just makes perfect sense for Bryson. You know what he is? 3D chess player. That's what he is. Maybe play more basketball and physicality than chess on the court at times.
All I know is Missouri is making moves already.
Are they? And like on a chessboard making moves.
Well, you have the Providence transfer. You have Jameer Jones.
Jalen Carey was a big pickup.
You're bringing the ass in Carey.
You have talked about guys' asses with Mizzou for a long time and how much an ass means to you. And that's what they went out and got. They went out and got a guy that Sterling cares about because of the ass that he brings to the court and rebounds. And in all seriousness, the guy did beat the hell out of Mizzou when they played Tennessee. Yes. He just dominated the boards. It was very frustrating to watch somebody be that physical, that intense, and that deliberate about specifically grabbing a rebound.
Yes.
And Mizzou got him, and that's a big pickup. He's ranked number 173 in the transfer portal rankings.
Wrong.
But this is what we talk about when Michigan was building their roster. It's like don't look at the numbers. It's how you build the roster. Mizzou is brutal at defensive rebounding under Dennis Gates throughout his entire tenure.
Yes.
They've been terrible. And he went out and said, we're going to get the best returning rebounder in America, because that's what he is. He's nationally ranked in offensive and defensive rebounding, and he's probably the best overall rebounder that's returning to basketball next year, because that being his specific job on there. So, yeah, that was a big deal.
Always chasing ass for Columbia.
That's exactly right. Cole Rosario, we said this, announced that he's returning to Kansas. Mbaya, I guess, isn't necessarily in the portal or never was in the portal. There's some confusion about that. So we'll see. We'll talk some college basketball today as it continues to go on with we now have 6 days before the portal closes. So there'll be a lot more decisions that'll be coming down fast and furious. We will talk with Jeff Montgomery an hour from now and get his thoughts on this Royals team. We'll talk about how the pitching staff let him down last night. Because if you can't protect a 1-0 lead, then what's the point of taking the ball and going out there to the bump? I mean,
Sarcasm.
What is the point? We'll talk to Jeff Montgomery about that. And I also want to talk to him from a pitching standpoint. Like, there has to be an element of stress that's put on the pitchers where they go to the mound feeling, I've got to be almost perfect because I can't allow any runs. And literally last night you couldn't allow any runs. Or, one, you were going to lose the lead, or then ultimately lose the game. So I want to talk about it from that standpoint. When an offense is struggling, obviously it's a team game. The offense needs to pick up the pitching staff from time to time, but right now it has simply been the pitching staff as the sole reason why they even have 7 wins. Like, honestly, if we're looking at and assessing this team, if they had an average starting staff, this would be a 90-loss team. Right now, the way they look.
Probably, yeah.
Offensively, base running, issues defensively that they've had, especially in the outfield this year.
They'd struggle to get 70 wins, probably,
if they had a just average starting staff, because the bullpen's also given up leads. So the team is sitting 7-10 based almost solely on how incredible the starters are for this team. So we'll talk some Royals today. Jeff Montgomery will be our guest. We'll talk about the downtown stadium, how big the day was yesterday. When we were done at 2 o'clock, they were still meeting for the Parks and Rec meeting that was taking place at Swope.
I was still there. I'm like, we were talking with Q. Sorry, not Mayor Q. Mayor Quentin Lucas.
Buddy?
We were talking to Mayor Lucas.
Playing some Call of Duty with him or something?
Yeah, we're boys. We go way back, dude. Not really. I was being facetious. But we were talking, and it was maybe around 1:55. And I'm like, you have a meeting at Swope at 2 o'clock.
But not until he talks with his guy, Sterling.
Well, of course, we got to catch up.
Of course, he was hoping to talk to Steven, but you
He
were the one that was there.
He did ask me. He's like, "Where's Steven?" I'm like, I guess apparently Sterling's not good enough. We both have STE on our names to start, but apparently that doesn't count.
Nope. That's he wanted Steven. He looks at you and says, "Where's Steven at?" Sorry, I'm not good enough. You know what is good enough? Heartland Men's Health. We are hanging out here. The Independence location. They have 3 great locations. Overland Park. They've got the location in North Kansas City. This location right between Blue Springs and Lee Summit. And we're here for the next few hours. And last time we were at Heartland Men's Health, Sterling got his testosterone level checked, and the results came back within 15 minutes. As I've said, They say within 30 minutes. It's typically right around 15 minutes. You find out immediately what your testosterone level is. You can then meet with the doctor, the consultation. They can go over the different things with you about whether or not testosterone replacement therapy is something that you should be considering. And also when it comes to erectile dysfunction, Heartland Men's Health is the spot for you, that if it's something that has been going on and you want to get figured out what the underlying condition is. Sometimes the pills or the herbals are just 60% of men, the reason they have ED is because of this. This is what the pill is going to attack. This is what the herbal is going to try to treat. Well, not everybody has that underlying condition. There are many different underlying conditions that can cause that, and you want to get to the root cause. That's what Heartland Men's Health does. It is men's health. It's their life. It's their career. It's their business model. It's about health of men, and they have been successfully treating men in the Kansas City area for a while now. $99 is the initial consultation for whether that be the low T or the ED. And if the test dose for the ED treatment doesn't work in the office, your visit's free. If it does, you're on your way to figuring out what's going on. And the same thing with low testosterone. If you sign up for testosterone treatment the day of your appointment, that visit of $99, it's free. You don't pay a dime. You can check them out, heartlandmenshealth.com. Give them a call, 844-447-6600, 844-447-6600. I've talked about what the last 2 years have been for me with being on testosterone, and perfect timing for me because a couple of years ago is when all of the kids' sports really ramped up. Jules started playing sports, and now you got multiple practices in a week, multiple kids wanting to go to the batting cage, multiple kids wanting to play catch, multiple kids out there shooting the basketball around. Everett having multiple practices in a week, multiple games going on, winter workouts, winter basketball. And if you are in your 40s or 50s and you don't have the energy for that, it's going to be tough. And you want to make sure your kids know that you are showing up for them. And by having the energy to do that, it's just a small part of being able to get out there. If I wasn't on, I don't know what the energy level would be like. I don't know what would be going on right now. I know it wouldn't be nearly as easy for me to get home, have dinner, go to do whatever we're doing, and have the energy to do that, and then head home and do the whole thing over the next day. So it has been amazing for me the last couple of years, and I hear the same thing from different people that have gone through that same route.
And I will say, as someone who's a little younger, 31, and I just was here, and I hate needles, but I've always wondered what it was, went and got my blood drawn, and by the way, they did a great job. Again, someone who's very squeamish, someone who traditionally does not handle needles very well. They were phenomenal, extremely easy. Again, got it back in 15 minutes. It was fun. I had good levels, so it's obviously enjoyable, but it's still nice to know what your levels are, right? So then I can go, okay, no, I'm just actually soft in the gym. I have no excuses. I have no excuses for being soft.
At least Jason had low T.
At least he had an excuse. I'm just soft. Why am I? Come on, dude. Throw some more weight around. This is on you, dude.
Yeah, that's what they say.
But at least I had no. So I'm still looking for excuses.
Yeah,
that's my goal. But Heartland Men's Health made sure I had no excuses. So that was a nice little thing.
Well, you know what? I mean, look, Zach and Easton. When he started talking, let's be honest, I really thought he was going to go, well, as somebody that doesn't have to deal with low testosterone, because I got my testosterone levels checked, and it was actually more than they thought it was.
Well, yeah, sorry, as a man with high T, but I wasn't trying to just say that. I was trying to be responsive. See?
I know. You were actually being a little more self-deprecating than I've ever expected you to be, so that was that was a curveball. That'd be like the Royals scoring 4 runs in a game. That'd be like a curveball there, but a curveball they can't hit, so that would be an issue. You know what? Maybe, the Royals, I would say maybe Heartland Men's Health because, maybe the bat isn't working for you. maybe there's a little too many dribblers that are coming off the whatever you're swinging around there. Maybe you're not scoring as much. All of those things could be related. Could be related to Heartland men's health. But no, in all seriousness, it's another game last night that the Royals gave away. I mean, it's I don't know how you can come away from the game and not be like frustrated, annoyed, mad constantly. Like we talk about like, oh, this would just be the third quarter of the second game of the season. Could you imagine the third quarter of the second game of the season for the Chiefs if they scored one touchdown in the first game and they have a field goal on the board in the third quarter of the second game? How pissed you'd be? How frustrated you'd be? How you would be thinking of the entire season about this isn't good enough. Every single one of these games matter. You're 0-1. You're barreling towards another loss. The defense has been keeping you in games, but the offense can't score. Like there is one way to present it of, come on, guys, this is only so early in the season. It's only 10% of the season. They played, 17 games so far? I mean, it's 10% of the season. Those things are going to happen. Yeah, and in football, we can look at it that way, but we know what the reaction around town would be on Twitter, social media, Facebook, with your friends, text messages. If the Chiefs were sitting in the third quarter of game 2 and they had scored 10 points, they had lost week 1, and they were barreling towards another loss. They lost week 1 10-7. And right now they're down 7-3 in the third quarter. You're going, I mean, just any points, you're going to win these games. The defense is so good if you just have any offense whatsoever, and the offense was supposed to be better. So we can look at it from it's so early, but it wasn't early when they were struggling in June to score. And that's what cost them the playoffs, was June. That June swoon in offense when they couldn't do anything, and they had one of the worst offenses in baseball in June. We talked about it. April, May, July, August, September. That winning percentage of all of those months combined would have won the division. The 1 month that cost them the playoffs was June, when they had a 17-game stretch where they scored 46 runs. They've at least scored 55. But that's only 9 more than one of the worst stretches of offensive baseball we've seen the Royals have in recent memory.
It's 179. It's not just 17. It's 179. This is a continuation of the frustration that was last year's offense. And I know we wanted to see Salvi and Vinny move down. Didn't think it was going to be Lane Thomas batting third when we were kicking the tires of, well, who do you move up to move them down? Shockingly, the name Lane Thomas was never reached upon.
Not once.
I know it was a lefty. I get Lane Thomas was actually fine in this game.
He came through. I mean, get on base twice. He stole the base.
He was fine. But it's still the point of Lane Thomas is third.
If Lane Thomas is the answer, then ask a different question.
Isaac Collins goes out in the first inning, and you think, all right, well, Kyle or Jack Caglione, right? Let's get the bats going. No, let's bring in Tyler Tolbert. That's the guy we're going to roll with. I get it. If he's on your roster, you have to. I guess you have to play him.
All that stuff.
But dude, at some point, what are we doing? Lane Thomas batting third and Tyler Tolbert, like that lineup is not good enough. Quite frankly, I know we talked about just the outfield in general and in the off season, and again, you lose Isaac Collins in the first, so that's going to change the equation here. But this is just beyond frustrating to watch at some point. The horse is beyond dead. It's mush. It's been beat so bad. I feel bad for the starting pitchers. I know some folks were mad at Nick Mears. Nick Mears has been pretty good all season long until this point. I get it. It's not great, but you gave up 2 runs in 9 innings as a pitching staff. What the bleep are we doing? I'm just beyond frustrated with the offense, man. I get it. I'm rambling just because I'm actually angry.
Wait, I mean, but the issue that
it's the high tea.
The issue that we run into is, again, this is not a. Again, let's go to the football example. If we're sitting in the third quarter of the second game, and the Chiefs have scored 10 total points, we wouldn't be talking about 6 quarters worth of football. We'd be talking about 2024, the struggles started, 2025, they continued, and now you're 2 games in to 2026, almost 2 games in, and it's the same thing. That's what we're talking about here, is that it's not a this 17 games, they're going to figure it out. They'll be fine. Maybe they will, because throughout June we said they're going to figure it out. They'll be fine. You know what they did in July, August, and September? They figured it out. They were fine, but they were too far behind the 8 ball at that point to recover from how bad they were. They're 3.5 games out behind the Twins. They're only 2.5 games behind the Guardians and only 1 game behind the Tigers. Probably the teams we thought were going to be winning. But the Twins, you know what they keep doing? Freaking scoring. Like every night, all they do is continue to score. The Twins, they're sitting at 11-7. They're plus 21 run differential. The Royals are minus 12 run differential. The difference between them and the Tigers is that, the Tigers are 8-9, but the Tigers are plus 11 run differential. They should actually be 9-8 or 10-7. Like, they've been unlucky. The Royals being 7-10 by minus 12 run differential. Like, the issues you run into are not this is some sort of in a vacuum where the issues are unlike what we've seen in the past. And this is the trend. We've talked about the Chiefs offense and now the Royals offense. Here are the numbers, runners in scoring position from 2024 to 2025 to 2026. You ready? Runners in scoring position, batting average, 282, 255, 202. Last 3 years. On-base percentage, 348, 319, 278. Slugging, 446, 404, 250. OPS, 794, 723, 528. I mean, that is a clear trend in the wrong direction. So the question becomes, the offense in 2024, was that the offense we think they can get back to? Or was that the outlier that they were so freaking good with runners in scoring position? They got on base at 350. They batted 280 with runners in scoring position. They OPS'd at almost 800 in 2024 with runners in scoring position. And you know what? They were still middle of the pack in runs scored. Last year, that OPS drops to 720.
That should be about the norm, by the way.
Yes.
720 should be about the norm with RISP.
Yeah, and they continued to drop in where they were in runs. And this year, it's just completely bottomed out. It's heading in the wrong direction.
Well, it's Salvi and Vinny is the main culprit. If we're being
absolutely.
honest, Lane Thomas did his job last night.
Yeah, they're 3 for 40. Those two guys combined with runners in scoring position, Salvi and Vinny, are 3 for 40 on the season with runners in scoring position.
And that's just hilariously bad.
Salvi's 1 for 29 with anybody on base. Even somebody on first. Anybody on base, Salvi is 1 for 29.
And then Vinny, by the way, is slugging 159. Slugging 159. That's your first baseman. That's your power bat. That's a guy you were counting on, what, 25 home runs? Yeah. At least 25 home runs, and he's slugging 159?
I was hoping they would just give him the day off. Just give him the day off yesterday and have him watch. We talked to Les Norman. What's the value of, one, you get a team day off, but the value of having a day off while your team is playing and just sitting there, clearing your mind, and Les said the value comes if you view it correctly. If you use it as a just clear everything, sit back and watch, and not get stressed out about, well, I'm not playing because I'm struggling hitting the ball. Just simply take in the game, watch it from that perspective, get a little reset, and then go out about your business. And he still played last night. And the big moments seem to keep finding Salvi and Vinny.
Yes.
And they seem to keep coming up short in those opportunities. I mean, look, Q talked about it on Sunday. He said, we can't find the big hit to break open the game. I mean, they had bases loaded with 1 out and Carter's up. It's who I would have liked to be up. Like, at that point, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. They got their run by a slow roller. They broke their runners in scoring position drought with the slow roller off Carter's bat. Like, both times there's been a run that is scored off Carter because it's been a slow roller. It wasn't a double play. But
you get to the 1 yard line. It's first down. It's first and goal from the 1, and you get stuffed 3 times. You go, well, I guess we're just going to kick the field goal. That's what Carter's slow roller was.
Yeah.
It was well, it's fine, I guess, but it should have been a lot more.
Right, but it's not even Carter though. Like Carter isn't the issue.
No, he's not.
They get a man at second base with nobody out in the 9th, and they get a slow roller and a ground ball and a strikeout.
Yeah.
When you're down 1. Now, you can be frustrated with the pitching staff all you want and Nick Mears. I'm certainly frustrated with the fact that there are back-to-back games that they have lost where they've had a wild pitch either be the winning run or the tying run. Like, that's unacceptable. 2 outs, wild pitch scores a run, the winning run. 2 outs, wild pitch scores the tying run.
Yep.
After Bobby made an incredible play.
Yes. Could have been worse.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of frustration going on with this, obviously. And
do we need an espresso machine for Vinny?
God, that'd be amazing. Why don't they do that?
Is that what they need? Like, how do we get Vinny out of the slump? Do you bring in an espresso machine? Do you bring in Italian flags? Do you let him have the day off and let him crush 20 Peronis on the bench?
Well, I don't even think that would be that. I mean, as good as that Italian team was, it wasn't really Vinny. That was that one game where he had 3 home runs, but I think he had 2 hits. I would take that right now. Well, yes.
I would take the 2 hits right now. I would take yes. Anything. I know,
but I think he only
great.
had a couple of hits outside of that game with 3 home runs.
He's slugging 159. Give me a 3 home run Vinny game.
Well, I mean, Jack Caglione's turned into a
contact hitter.
A contact base hit, just spray the ball around the outfield a little bit, just Tony Gwynn that thing into the outfield. Like, if he's going to make contact, I want him to do damage. Like, whatever's going on with the approach and the change, like early on, and this is still early on, but early on, when it was, you know what, they're working the counts.
Yep.
They have, they're working deeper into counts. They're walking a little bit more. That's going to translate to more hittable pitches, and they're going to do more damage on those pitches. And the problem is they're not. They are technically putting themselves into better hitters count. They are not doing enough to drive in runs, and maybe more specifically when anybody is on base. We'll talk about some of the numbers that are standing out for the Royals this year, if those can change, if they will even out. There are 4 or 5 different things that we look at from last year to this year that are even worse with a rough offense last year. We'll talk about that. They got the Tigers tonight. Seth Lugo's on the mound against Jack Flaherty. 5:40 for that game. Royals sitting 3.5 games out. They need to get something going. Hopefully the offensive breakout is right around the corner, unless we're waiting for something that's non-existent, because we were waiting for the Chiefs' offensive breakout last year after that Commanders game, that Raiders and Commanders game, and that offensive breakout never happened. You know why? Because as we look back, it was never going to happen with that scheme, that group of players, that personnel. And I really don't want to be sitting here in the offseason in November and December and going, yeah, we were foolish. That offensive breakout was never going to happen.
Well, they got Kenneth Walker. They at least made a big impact player.
Mm-hmm.
The Royals' big impact player was, and I like Isaac Collins. This is not trying to be a knock on Isaac Collins, but that's not your big impact bat. That would have been along the lines of Duran.
Well, Sterling, it was Lane Thomas. That was the big impact bat.
The guy that we didn't even mention batting third. Didn't even mention it batting third. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll talk about some of those numbers. We will also get into what yesterday's developments in the 2 different meetings meant for the Royals and downtown baseball. We'll hear from Mayor Quentin Lucas. Brooke Sherman gave his statement after the initial meeting that took place. And so the Royals seem to be certainly on board. We all think that is the case. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. We'll get into some mock drafts. A number of the national analysts have put out their final mock drafts before, I think, probably a final, who knows, next week. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. 913-912-4810. We continue rolling. More Zone hanging out at Heartland Men's Health, Independence location. Check them out online, heartlandmenshealth.com. Give them a call, 844-447-6600. More Zone right after this. All right, man, if you're out there, we've talked about if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction and things that can be the underlying cause. Maybe it happened once, happened twice, no big deal. You sort of laugh it off. Well, it is a big deal. It's something that can cause depression and arguments and breakups and even contribute to divorce. Oftentimes, your partner thinks that it is because of them, and that's not the case. Maybe you've tried the pills or the herbals and they have failed. Well, if that happens, Heartland Men's Health has treatments with success rates well over 90%. We've told you there's so many different underlying conditions. It is not a one-size-fits-all, this is the issue with this guy over there, so we're going to treat it the same way with you. It's not what happens at Heartland Men's Health. They have been successfully treating men in the Kansas City area. Schedule a consult with Heartland Men's Health today. Your initial visit, it's $99. That includes the medical consult with that licensed medical provider, a T, and that PSA test that we talk about all the time. And if medically advised, you get a test dose, and if the test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit's free. If it does, there you go. They've got an expert staff with 3 locations to serve you. Overland Park, our location today in Independence between Blue Springs and Lee Summit, and also North Kansas City. Call them today at 844-447-6600. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, 844-447-6600, or visit heartlandmenshealth.com. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, hanging out at Heartland Men's Health. We'll talk with Jeff Montgomery coming up at 11. Monty, get his thoughts on this Royals team, the pitching staff, how good they are, what he saw from Cole Reagans, who battled yesterday. Didn't have the gaudy strikeout numbers, but kept the Tigers at bay. Got a couple of double play balls behind him. But that's part of pitching, and getting soft contact is to get guys and induce them into ground ball double plays. I wanted to present a few things that maybe tell the story. I don't know what the story is in terms of approach or things like that, but we talked about in the offseason the difference from what they were, how they were swinging the last couple of years, what we saw the Yankees do to the Royals in the postseason versus what the Royals talked about what they wanted to be. And in 2025, they took the series against the Yankees the fall before and decided that meant taking the first pitch every time. Remember that last year we were talking about the Royals starting off in 0-1 counts constantly because their work the count meant, well, let's just take the first pitch. Yes. Because the Yankees, would not chase, so we need to work deeper into the count, so we're just not going to swing at the first pitch. Okay, now you're 0-1. Cool. Neato, buddy. So, they fired the assistant hitting coaches, and Zumwalt's not the problem. Clearly, that's what they've said. And they bring in a couple of guys. And Connor Dawson, I loved what he said when he talked about targeting good swing decision guys. Swing decisions are the most transferable skill than a lot of other things. Philosophy, swing at strikes, don't swing at balls. That makes sense. When you can do that, it's valuable. It's the most controllable thing when it comes to hitting. You latch onto the things that are controllable. That's the thing that Connor Dawson talked about when they hired him to be an assistant hitting coach along with Marcus Timms under Alex Zumwalt. So the approach this year, the Royals' walk percentage is up 3% from a year ago. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Their strikeout percent is up 5% from a year ago. So they're striking out more, they're walking more. That means they're putting the ball in play less often. Walking more is good. Striking out more depends on what the strikeouts were. I mean, with men on base, I'd rather Salvi strike out than hit into a double play. So that's not always the worst thing if Salvi comes up and strikes out with, bases loaded and 1 out or something like that.
Sure.
A few of the other things that stand out to me. Some of the different things like outside of the strike zone, swing percentage, inside the strike zone, swing percentage, those outside and inside contact rates. Some of those are sort of negligible in what they have done. Like the zone swing percentage is down 2%, but it's kind of negligible in terms of like this early in the season from a year ago. But some things that have stood out. We talked about walk percentage and strikeout percentage, both of those being up. Contact percentage in pitches in the zone that they swing at. This is standing out to me. Contact percentage for pitches in the zone that they swung at. They're down 4% from a year ago. They're swinging and missing at strikes in the zone 4% more often than they did a year ago. 4% is a massive number, by the way. They were number 1 in Major League Baseball last year at contact percentage on strikes. They're number 21 this year in baseball at contact percentage on strikes.
And here's the thing. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you're Kyle Schwarber. When you are swinging and missing, because you're doing damage when you hit the ball.
Which brings up my next part of it. Their soft contact percentage is up from last year. Their line drive percentage is down from last year. Their home run to fly ball ratio is down from last year.
I'm not going to lie. It seems impossible. So you're seeing the ball better. Your philosophy is you're walking more, but you're striking out more. Okay, well, that actually makes sense because in today's day and age, you want more of the 3 true outcomes. So when you do swing, you do want to make meaningful contact.
Right. So do you exchange a 5% increase in strikeout percentage for a 3% increase in walk percentage? Probably, because some of those strikeouts were going to be outs anyway.
Correct. So I think the answer is yes. But then you get into they're missing more on strikes in the zone. And then again, in a nutshell, you would say that's not the worst thing in the world. Again, if you're doing Kyle Schwarber, or you would even make the case of, okay, well, that's Salvi, who has good bat to ball, but he's a power guy, or Jack Caglione. That makes sense. He's missing on strikes in the zone. But when he makes contact, it's a home run, it's a double, it's an extra base hit. Same thing with Vinny. Well, you're getting none of that.
No.
You're not getting the benefit of what, again, some of those metrics could actually be used as a positive. Some. Not all, but some could be used as a positive if they were doing damage. But they're not, and so that's where the conundrum comes in of, well, then what the bleep are they doing?
Right. Do you now you start to ask the question, okay, so if the approach is different and maybe better, are the players the wrong players? So now you get into, okay, so you made the decision to go Connor Dawson and Marcus Timms along with Zumwalt. The approach is better, but they're not doing damage on pitches in the zone. And when they hit the ball, they have more soft contact than they did a year ago. They have a lower line drive percentage than they did a year ago. Through 17 games, the home run to fly ball ratio was lower than it was a year ago. So if those things are what you're looking for in terms of approach and swing decisions, then do you have the wrong guys? And what you then, or the first question would be, do you have the guys in the right order to, quote, keep the line moving or be in a position to drive the baseball when it's your turn up to the plate with runners in scoring position? So that would be a Q question.
I'm glad the fence moved in.
That's right. A Q question. Do you have the guys in the right order? And if it's the order doesn't really matter, then now you ask JJ.
Yeah.
Did you have the wrong guys? Did you make a mistake on Jack Caglione? Did you make a mistake in trading for Jonathan India and Brady Singer that you chose the wrong guy to bring in as a leadoff hitter? That maybe you could have got more value with Brady Singer somewhere else. Did you make a mistake in valuing a player that can help you in 28 and 29 over a player in Brendan Donovan that's getting on base at 410 for the Mariners who could be an impact player for the next 2 years on your team? When you've got Bobby and Michael, 2 years left of Salvi, you've got Vinny, you've got Jack and Carter. Did you make a mistake in doing that and valuing Churio or Shields or Blake Mitchell that'll help you in a couple of years versus what Brendan Donovan can do this year and next year? Did JJ make the mistake in not making the big move that may have been available to him? Because if you're telling me the approach is better and it's not the hitting coaches, then it's the construction of the lineup or the players that you have playing those positions. So, as you know, they say that the crap flows down. This starts to flow up. This flows up now. This goes up. It's not Alex Zumwalt. You already made that point. Next person, Q. Why aren't you doing something different with the lineup? Well, you did. You put Lane Thomas at third. That's your answer? So if Lane Thomas bats third, isn't that an indictment on the roster construction for J.J. Piccolo if the answer to moving Vinny down is Lane Thomas to bat third?
Yeah.
There are only so many things that Q can work with. And he doesn't want to move Michael Garcia, obviously. He doesn't want to move Bobby. I don't want him to do that. Bobby specifically. Leave him at the 2-hole. But if your answer is we're going to move Lane Thomas into the 3 spot, then either there is a disconnect between JJ and Q, or Q is telling JJ, what do you want me to work with here?
I would have thought it would have been Isaac Collins, but it wouldn't have mattered because Isaac Collins went out in the first inning. Looking up something fascinating here, Vinny's swing speed is 3 miles an hour down from last year.
That's interesting.
3.
Because it was, what is it from 2024? Because last year it was up from 24.
24, it was 71.7. 25, it was 72.5. This year it's 69.3.
Yeah, that's massive. That's 2 miles an hour slower than what it was 2 years ago when he increased the swing speed from 24 to 25.
2.5 miles an hour slower. I mean,
it's like
about 2.5. Yeah,
from last year or 2024?
This year's 3. Yes, 3 from last year. Last year, 25 is exactly 3.2 miles an hour slower.
So 2.5 miles an hour slower in swing speed from Vinny. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, about 2.5 from.
Is that taking all of the swings into account when he's like fooled and he flails at the ball and 17 games in? There's some of those things, and as the course of the season, it'll even out. But last year in his, quote, slow start, the slow start was because Vinny was talking about, well, I'm so far out in front that I'm hitting a 400-foot foul ball, which does no good because that's a strike anyway. He ain't hitting 400-foot foul balls right now.
No.
He's struggling to even see the baseball.
Salvi is still at 71.9 bat speed. So Salvi's not really. There's not this 3 mile an hour drop off of Salvi that Vinny's had because Salvi's bounced around a little bit in bat speed in his career. Again, this is why I'm so concerned with Vinny.
Yeah.
It's why I have all these concerns, because everyone's talking Salvi. I'm not saying Vinny. I'm trying to rip on that guy because I think he is a leader. I think he will eventually figure it out. But right now, the metrics look horrendous, and the swing speed's down a lot. Is he injured? Like, is he trying to fight through an injury? I mean, that's a drastic. I mean,
if this was a pitcher with the back of the baseball card that he has, and they would look like this, you would wonder, is there something going on with the arm?
You would think it's an injury.
Yeah, it would be the first thing we would wonder is, like, is he battling through something? Is he trying to work through, an arm issue? With Vinny, I don't know if that's the case. The back of the baseball card says that he's going to hit. The problem is, while he's not hitting and while the opportunities keep finding him and Salvi and they're not hitting, it's costing them games.
Correct.
And it's lowering their percentage chance of making the postseason in a very winnable division. That's part of the frustration. I mean, you've changed your approach. That much is clear. Walks are up, strikeouts are up. You're taking more pitches. You're working later into counts. You're driving up the pitch count of the opposing pitchers. You're doing some of those things. But now you're doing less damage because your slugging percentage is 61 points down than what it was a year ago.
You know who's the most pissed right now?
Who?
Sherman. Sherman spent money to
Brooks
move.
or John?
John.
Okay.
They're actually not related.
I know.
Which is funnier. John spent money to move the fences in at the K, because they're telling him, hey, we're going to see more home runs, slug's going to go up. And he's like, I moved those in, and this is what I get?
Yeah. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More Zone next. Wrapping up this first hour, hanging out at Heartland Men's Health today, Independence location. 3 area locations for you, including Overland Park and North Kansas City. We are here at this Independence location between Blue Springs and Lee Summit. Check it out, heartlandmenshealth.com, 844-447-6600. We'll talk with Jeff Montgomery coming up on the other side of the break. Daniel Harms will be our guest coming up at noon. We will talk about some different mock drafts that are out there. Mick Schaefer, we'll talk with him coming up at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director. And we'll still get into, later on in the 11 o'clock hour, some of the things that took place yesterday around the city with the downtown ballpark for the Royals. More Zone coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're hanging out at Heartland Men's Health, Independence location in between Blue Springs and Lee Summit. Location I go to is in Overland Park. They also have a location in North Kansas City. You can check them out, heartlandmenshealth.com, 844-447-6600 to give them a call to schedule that consult, whether that is ED or low T or many different other areas in a more holistic, full-body approach to men's health. Jeff Montgomery is our guest here in the zone on this Wednesday. Monty, how are you, sir?
Well, Jason, I'm pretty good with regards to how the Royals are pitching the ball. I'm not so up on the offense right now, however.
Yeah, you know, Monty, I was going to ask you, do we want to talk of the offense or should we get your mock draft? Who do you have the Chiefs taking at number 9, Monty?
I don't follow football, so I have no idea who is even out there.
You know what the answer would have been? An outfield bat. I've got the Chiefs taking a bat to help out. Something with the offense is what the Chiefs need, which could also be what the Royals need. Does it simply come down to one thing, Monty, that it is just, hey, the offense is fine until they have runners in scoring position? What seems like a very big part of it, it's like, the Chiefs' offense is fine until they get inside the 10, and then they kick field goals. But is it as simple as that, or is there something bigger when you're not coming through in runners in scoring position? Maybe that's a sign of a bigger issue.
Well, I think when you look at runs, you obviously want to lean on the middle part of your lineup, and particularly with the Royals right now, it's 2, 3, 4 in that lineup, and just not getting the job done. And I think when you're looking at the bottom of the lineup, and when you're winning games, you're getting production from the bottom. I mean, Kyle Isbell was on fire for the first week and a half of the year, and if it weren't for him, I don't know if they would have won any games, to be honest. So, it's just a matter of getting those guys that are your traditional run producers going. And it's unfortunate. This seems like it always kind of comes in like a contagious situation. When it happens, and it's hard to get out of it. But when you get out of it, everything's great. And, last year, pretty similar. The first couple of months of the year, it was really difficult scoring runs. Average runners in scoring position was very low. And then once they got things going the rest of the year, it was really, a different scenario, and they seemed to produce much more consistently, especially that middle part of the lineup. So, some guys were slow starters, and some guys just maybe seem to be pressing a little bit, but it's impossible to put your finger on exactly what it is, because obviously if you knew how to fix it, it would have been fixed already. So just got to keep searching, keep going out there, and hope that at some point, the magic happens and the tide turns, and then you get things on the right track.
In baseball, there are such small incremental percentages that each individual game, you sort of look at it over the course of a longer period of time, that will make an impact. You have the shifts, and every once in a while a ground ball will go through a shift. Like, man, if you just had that guy there, then that would have been an out. But then also a day later, you've got the shift, and it's a double play. Like, ooh, glad you had a guy there. So you're hoping percentage-wise over the course of the season that will work in your favor. I bring that up because I wonder, Monty, from the bigger picture standpoint of the offense, it is 17 games in, which is only 10% of the season, and there are 17 game stretches where teams only score 55 runs, and it's like, the offense is kind of struggling right now. They're in sort of a slump. You got to break out of it. How long in the beginning of the season do you sort of look at it and give it that time to where you go, okay, let's try to see if we need to tinker with this? I know last night Lane Thomas batted third, then he moved down, but I think that was more Valdez, the left-hander, on the mound. Is there a time or a number of games where you go, it's not working, we've given it enough time to sort of fix itself and have the numbers even out, now we need to see if there's something Q can do, moving some things around or different players or whatever it might be? What's the time frame that you sort of look at that gives you a full amount to assess what you're seeing?
Well, I think it kind of changes, based on who you have and what the matchups are. I know, Q and his staff every day, they look at the best way to put a lineup together to win a baseball game. But, I'll go back to last season, I'll use Jonathan India as an example. Starts the season, this guy high on base percentage historically, and that was where he was to start the year. But after a while, when it didn't work, they obviously changed things up and moved him, to a lower part of the lineup. So, I think it matters, with regards to timing. But you have a key, players in certain roles and positions, and the track record says that it works. And when it doesn't work, that's when you start questioning things and how long do you wait? And I think it's just impossible to answer exactly how long do you wait. But, you don't want to keep making the same, mistake for too long when some changes potentially could benefit you and make you a better team.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery of the Royals TV. Does a great job of breaking down the game. Does changing the lineup, I'm going to talk about the pitching staff here in a second, but does changing the lineup, does that do anything to the team? Is it a sort of a approach? Is it showing that you're kind of panicking? How do you view if there's some struggles going on and the manager throws up a different lineup?
No, I don't think. Certain guys are probably more comfortable in certain, parts of the lineup. I think when you have certain tools, I'll use Bobby Witt as an example. When you have certain tools, you want to try to take advantage of those as many times as you can. That's why they're going to bat, at the top of the lineup. But if you make some changes when, guys are going through some struggles or some slumps, I'll compare it to a guy who's a pitcher who's having his struggles in the bullpen, for example. Instead of putting him out there in high leverage, you run him out there in, lower leverage situations and let him get things right. And then you can, go right back to where you were and put him back in that high leverage situation. Same with the lineup. You can move some guys around and let them get things going, get some confidence and get some success and, production. And then you can put them back in those situations where they think they, may be better with regards to helping your lineup and helping you produce runs.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery, our guest here in the Zone. Let's talk about the pitching staff, whether that be the starters or the bullpen. As somebody that's been in there, certainly there have been some times when you've been on a team that the offense is sort of struggling. There are times when the pitching staff is struggling and the offense bails them out, and it's sort of a team sport. You sort of know that as, guys head back to the clubhouse that, hey, this was the night that the pitching staff, had to win the game. Hey, this was the night that the offense went and won a game. But if there's a prolonged slump, whether it's prolonged slump with the pitching staff and what it means for the lineup or a prolonged slump for the lineup and what it means for the pitching staff, is there added stress on those starters and bullpen guys if they feel like, you've got to be maybe a little bit more fine, a little bit more perfect on the mound to not give up many runs? Does that ever get in or creep in the mind of anybody on the mound as a pitcher?
Well, I don't think it's really what I'll call stress. I think it's probably something that there's an awareness. You're aware that you're probably, in that phase of the season where the team's not scoring a lot, and you know that maybe you got a little bit more of a job to do as far as limiting runs. But I think the pitchers prepare for their game independently. They do their thing. They work with the catchers and the staff. They put together a plan, and then, it's their job to go out and execute it. We've seen them do a really nice job, particularly guys in the rotation here the last couple times through this rotation where they've gone out and really done exactly that. They've given their team a chance to win a baseball game and, a couple shutouts in there over the weekend. So, a lot of good things going on with the pitching staff, and you just hate to lose those outstanding outings like we've seen Lugo have last time out. We saw with Reagan's last night. Just hate to lose those really stellar performances when those are games you would like to have a chance to win more than not.
Jeff Montgomery is our guest. Michael Wacha has been really, really good. He has looked awesome. Is he doing anything different to start the season this year than he's done in the years past? He's always been like I've called him a robot because he goes out there. You just simply know what you're going to get from Michael Wacha. What an absolute gem of a professional pitcher that he's going to give you. The same thing. It feels like every time out. Maybe not to this level. But is he doing anything different to why he's this successful and this productive, and where he's got the 17 Ks in 21 innings and only the one earned run so far, and he's been doing a magnificent job?
I think the biggest thing I've noticed about Michael Wacha is his ability to adjust during the course of a game. As far as the pitch usage, he's always been outstanding with that changeup, and he's got the changeup that he can essentially tell the hitter, hey, I'm throwing you a changeup, and let's see you make, good contact. And they can make a lot of weak contact, and even he'll get a swing and miss on those situations where it's pretty much, known that there's a good chance he's going to throw that changeup. But he's thrown his, at that cutter and that slider a lot more, and to me that's made him a more rounded pitcher. I'll go back to his first start of the season against the Braves. He threw a lot more cutter slider than he did changeup, which is unusual for him. And I think that's why he's been really good. It's just the fact that it's less predictable. And then the other part is just purely the execution. He executes quality pitches so consistently. He just stays in his delivery. He doesn't, get out of his mechanics very often at all. When he does, he knows exactly what to do to get right back where he needs to be. And he just, like you said, the consistency. And if you look at the back of his baseball card, you'll see a lot of real similar numbers year after year after year. And that's just one thing that makes him so valuable.
And it's he's got 3 starts where he's given up only 1 earned run. The last time he did that was May 2nd through 15th of 2023. So it's a little bit of turning back the clock. He was a 31-year-old at that time when he did that for the his last year with the Padres, when he was able to do that. Monty, I wanted to ask you about an interaction that Waka had on the mound, and tell me if you've ever experienced this before. It was a 3-1 pitch, top of the 8th. There's 2 outs. Waka's been, killing it. The Royals are only up 1-0 at this time, and Waka's cruising. A 3-1 pitch, and maybe this is the last batter for Waka if he allows somebody to get on because he had some guys warming. And a 3-1 pitch, and Chase Meidroth clearly was expecting something else because Waka throws the fastball, and Meidroth looks at Waka and sort of gives him a little nod like, all right, well done. Well done. That's not what I was thinking. And then the next pitch he swings through a cut fastball and strikes out. Have you ever had a moment on the mound where you throw something that the batter was just like, all right, you got me. I had no idea I was going somewhere else. I thought for sure you were going to do this, and you threw that. You know what? Tip of the cap. Nice job.
Well, I don't know if I remember anything that close to it, but I remember a lot of hitters making outs and, cursing at themselves for making it out on such weak stuff, so to speak. But you feel it. You can tell when the hitter, they're tipping the cap to you, and they understand that you threw a real quality pitch, and you got them out, or you got ahead with them on a particular pitch in the count. Yeah, so you're aware of those things, but again, Michael Waka, no surprise here with him when Meidroth looks at him and says, "Hey, Mr. Veteran, then now I know why you've been out there for so long."
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know what? Well done. That was a cool interaction. And then, of course, the next pitch when he swings right through another pitch and Waka walks off the mound. And there was an opportunity maybe to throw him out there in the 9th for a complete game shutout. But early in the season, he did his job. You got an extra run when Vinny hit the sacrifice fly to score Garcia. That was on Saturday in the last game that they won. And unfortunately, these 2 games end up being a loss. Cole Reagan's last night. Monty, I was just happy to see that when the probable pitchers came out a few days ago and Cole Reagan's was listed for Tuesday night, it was like, okay, now you can breathe a little bit easier, but then not completely breathe a little bit easier. Let's see what he looks like when he gets on the mound after, leaving the game early. What did you see from Cole Reagan's? He didn't have the strikeout numbers, but he did certainly battle, and he got some ground ball double plays, but it didn't seem like the hand was bothering him, which feels like maybe the Royals dodged a bullet there with that comebacker from Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, I agree. And, he didn't have his dominant stuff. I think his command was maybe not quite where he would like for it to be, but his stuff's so good. He's able to, be in the strike zone. He's able to throw strikes and allow contact using that defense, and especially in a double play situation. So health-wise, it was really good to see him go out there and have 6 scoreless after the scary, ball hits him in the hand, and you just never know. You don't know. You hear the reports, and I think the team's very protective when they talk about a situation like that with Cole Reagan's getting hit. Obviously, Pat Quatrero said immediately that he was not going to miss a start. But sometimes you think, well, that's the right thing to say, but is it always going to play itself out? And when it did last night, I think everybody, like you did, breathed a sigh of relief.
Yeah, visiting with Jeff Montgomery. Seth Lugo on the mound tonight. The Royals need to get back on the winning track. Is it a a badge of honor, or just another one of those games where you go to the mound and say, I got to break a streak. I got to break a losing streak. This team needs a win. I'm out here on the mound, and I got to bring my best stuff. Is it a fun challenge? Is it, you said stress maybe isn't the right word in terms of an offense struggling, but is there a different approach for a pitcher, the veteran status of a Lugo, when the team really needs a win and he's the one out there on the mound?
Maybe a little bit, but I think more than anything, experience kind of takes over. And if you look at what Lugo's been able to do over the last few years with the Royals, he's been somewhat of a stopper in the games that he's pitched when the Royals have lost 2 in a row. His record is very, very good in those games. So maybe it's just something where he dials it up a little bit. Maybe it's just, circumstances. But he's been really good at being a stopper for this Royals pitching staff when needed. So we'll see how that plays itself out tonight. But I like the way he threw the ball his last start, gave up a couple runs, but no run support. That's a game the Royals lost 2-0. So if he gives up 2 runs, you like a chance of having a chance to win a baseball game.
Visiting with Jeff Montgomery. Monty, what's it like for a pitcher to watch Bobby Witt play defense behind you? He had that over-the-shoulder catch, then he had the diver in the 8th inning to, at that point, preserve the lead. There are some times in baseball where I have to imagine major leaguers just sit back in awe of what a guy can do.
Yeah, it's amazing what Bobby's defense has done for him as far as getting people to notice him, not just in our market, but outside of the Kansas City market, especially like during the World Baseball Classic when he made those plays in that one game, 2 outstanding plays, and just hear people all over talking about how good he is. We haven't seen the production with him offensively that we'd like to see, and we likely will see very soon. But that glove, that's just something that never goes into a slump. So it's great to see what Bobby's been able to do defensively.
Jeff Montgomery is our guest. We'll see what happens tonight in Detroit. Monty, appreciate it as always. We will talk next week, and hopefully this Royals offense gets back on track, and we're talking about a good finish of the road trip and a good start to the homestand, which will be against the Baltimore Orioles next week. Thank you, Monty. I appreciate you, brother.
You bet. Have a good day, Jason.
Yep, you too. There's Jeff Montgomery, our guest here. And pick number 9 for the Chiefs, he went offense, which makes total sense when you're watching this Royals team night in and night out. In your mind, you're like offense, 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 offense. The big question is, can Jordan Tyson help the Royals offense?
I think tackle, because you need some slug. You need a big guy.
That's right. Yep. Jeremiah Love, you need a guy that can.
That's just Tolbert.
Is that right? Just a guy that's just fast. Run the bases, score runs, get on base.
I wonder if he plays defense better than Tolbert or gets a better jump.
I don't know. It's a good question. Is he that naturally and instinctual of an athlete? Kind of like, oh my goodness, the kid from Wales.
Bo Jackson.
Nope. That's different, yes. But the kid.
Louis Rizamet.
Yes, Louis Rizamet. When we saw him at the softball game for MVS's charity, and he got up there and he started smoking home runs. And he's like, I've never played baseball before. I'm like, okay, well, this guy's just natural athlete. This guy just can. There's a sport like Nick Bolton, a linebacker.
Yeah.
That was like, this guy's got an awesome swing. I mean, he's squaring up the ball. He's in the home run derby contest there at the MVS softball thing. He's crushing the baseball. This guy's just a really good athlete. Maybe that's Jeremiah Love. Maybe Jeremiah Love would get up there and be like, Lorenzo Cain didn't start playing baseball till junior in high school. Okay, just natural. All these kids that are, elementary school and 10 and 12 and 14 and all these kids in the labs and going through and all these different drills, and Lorenzo Cain shows up with jean shorts, a T-shirt, and somebody else's glove junior year in high school, and he turns out to be Lorenzo Cain. Some guys are just born with it, just know how to play. Maybe that's Jeremiah Love.
I know we joke. I want the offense to not be 2 scoops of ass.
Let me ask you this. If Jeremiah Love were Bo Jackson, would it be worth it for the Chiefs to draft him at 9 and then he'd play both for the Chiefs and the Royals? Yes, of course the answer is yes. Of course the answer is yes.
Well, yeah, if he's Bo Jackson, the answer is yes.
I know. That's what I said. Yes, he's Bo Jackson. That'd be great. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. The Royals, a few more years, they'll be playing at the K. Then they'll be moving down to Washington Square Park. There are a couple of different steps that have to be taken, to still yet to be, a couple steps that they have to go and follow. There's some
Tooken.
Yep, there's steps that have to be taken. You got to took some steps. Anyway, there's a couple more meetings tomorrow. The full council will vote on the ordinance to enter in the lease agreement with the Royals. Then, when the details are fully fleshed out and we know what those are, they will have to vote yet again to pass that, of what the specific details are of the deal and the bonding and the overage, and who will be on the hook for the bonds if they don't raise the money. What happens in Jackson County for Truman Sports Complex? There's a lot of things that still need to be figured out. What is the actual district for the TIF? Then they'll have to vote on that before you can have the big press conference like they had with the Chiefs and Kansas, when you can have that with the Royals and Kansas City for Washington Square Park. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from what Mayor Q had to say. Sterling was down there covering it yesterday, what he saw and gleaned from that meeting, and getting closer and closer to finally downtown baseball in Kansas City. Daniel Harms will be our guest coming up at noon. We'll talk some NFL football, some mock draft that's out there, and talk about if the Chiefs should draft Jeremiah Love, if it means he can play for the Royals too. We'll ask Daniel Himes that, mainly because or Daniel Harms, I should say. Who's Daniel Himes? Who's Daniel Himes, by the way?
I was befuddled.
Yeah.
I see Hines Ward on here, and so I think
that's probably what it was.
You got a little.
Yes, I'm scrolling through my formats to grab another piece of paper while I was delaying about what we're going to be talking with Daniel Harms about. He would not be okay with that because he's a Tigers fan.
Yeah.
So now I even have to question whether or not we have Daniel Harms on the show.
He might have said no to you.
Maybe we have Daniel Himes on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe that's who we go and talk to at noon. Either way, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Mayor Q. Sterling will weigh in on what he saw yesterday, and we'll continue rolling along from Heartland Men's Health Independence location. More Zone next. All right, hanging out at Heartland Men's Health Independence location between Blue Springs and Lee Summit, North Kansas City, Overland Park, also locations for Heartland Men's Health, heartlandmenshealth.com. Call them today, 844-447-6600. It is such a blast to watch Michael Walker pitch right now. And we'll get into the Royals downtown ballpark, and we'll see who's going to be pitching in the New K in 2031. I know Mayor Q said 2030, but we'll get into that as well. But we'll see who's going to be pitching there in 2031. What's that? 5 years from now. So there's a high school kid somewhere out there pitching that's going to be pitching at the New K at Washington Square. It ain't Easton, I know that. Sorry, Easton. There's no reason for that.
Just taking a shot
but
at him.
No, that's not. But guess what? It's not going to be Easton pitching at the New K. It's not going to be me or you. It's going to be none of us.
Oh,
Nobody in this building right now is going to be pitching at the New K in 2031 for the Royals.
There was a movie.
Yeah? What
called
was it about?
The Rookie. I might be the 36-year-old that comes out and throws darts.
Do you know the backstory of the Rookie?
I was a teacher.
He was also a former pitcher. That lost it, then got it back.
No. But I never had it. It's the Disney version of it.
I see.
This is like the other version.
No, you're thinking of Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, well, that's
you're
true.
You're thinking of Henry Rosenbagger.
Yeah.
Run-a-mucker. You heat up the ice cubes. It's the best of both worlds.
Sterling got pitching powers when he fell and almost broke his ankle.
That's true.
Right. That would be him turning into Pele, right?
Well,
the next Messi. Look at his foot.
My ankle still
hurts. His ankle springs, and it's a 90-mile-an-hour kick. What so good.
Ain't no spring. And you know, every year I try and get rim. I think this might be my final year. Was last year. I don't think I can get rim anymore. I don't think I can.
Usually, when you get older, that stops.
Get up.
Less and less of that as you age. That's typically what happens. Watching Michael Wacha pitch, and even Seth Lugo. We talked about it a couple of years ago. There is something amazing and entertaining and being sort of in awe and appreciation when Paul Skeens is out there doing what he's doing. And it's like, good God, this guy had 25 inches of run on that pitch. This is ridiculous. But then there's also Michael Wacha that goes out there and you're just like, this guy's throwing 93, 89, 82, and completely fooling lineups. Like, there is something fun about watching a guy do that. And that interaction with Chase Meidroth and Michael Wacha was really fun, where Meidroth was sitting there 3-1 count, and that pitch was low and away, and he thought it was going to be a changeup because that's typically the go-to pitch for Wacha, and that thing was a sinker that worked back in, and Meidroth took it because he thought that thing was going to be, it's low, it's going to drop, and then just looked at Wacha and went, a little head nod like,
nice, you got me.
You got me. And then he swung right through a cut fastball.
Yeah.
The very next pitch, because I think he was expecting at that point, here comes the changeup. And nope, it's a fastball, and now I'm behind it, and it's strike three. This guy was down 3-1 in the count and went sinker cut. Not a changeup thrown at that point, which Monty said feels a little bit different from Wacha in that he's incorporating those more, which is keeping guys off balance a little bit more, that when he's in a I need it pitch, it's not necessarily he's going to that amazing changeup. He's going to other things, which, hey, you got to continue to evolve. So that was fun watching him. Seth Lugo on the mound, it's fun watching him do the same thing and be able to do that. Sterling, you were at City Hall yesterday, and you were dealing with some parking tickets, and while you were there, you were covering the meeting that took place that was open to the public in the Finance, Governance, and Public Safety Committee meeting. And you were there covering it. And what I'm curious from your takeaway on what you saw in that meeting, what you heard, and what did Sterling what did Sterling learn when he went to City Hall yesterday? You know, it's like a field trip. Sterling goes to City Hall. It's like a Berenstain Bears movie.
It really was. That's honestly what I felt like. I was there to learn. I'd never been to City Hall before. That's probably a good thing. And one, really cool building. So I show up a little early because I want to get there early and make sure I'm there and get everything ready to go. And at first, I just see a smattering of, I don't know if protesters is the right word to use, because it wasn't like they're out there really holding signs like.
Oh, they're amateur testers then.
But dissenters against this, right? Yeah. And so at first I go, oh, well, this is just a smattering. So when I was on with Steven earlier that morning, I go, quite frankly, Steven, I'm surprised there's not a ton of people here. I'm shocked. And all of a sudden around 10 o'clock, they had a meeting time. And so 10, they really all showed up and they all filed in. They actually went into the 26th floor. They went into the chamber, and they just kept filing in. And it was on both sides, both for and against. I will say what was nice was I think everyone was very respectful, at least, which was nice to see. There was no one like, I'm mad at you or bleep you guy. It was kind of just respectful talking back and forth, especially when it came to in the crowd, as far as just, hey, I'm union. I'm for this. It's a construction job for me. And, hey, I see your viewpoint, but for us, we think he should build it with his own money, and we voted on this in 2024. I think for me, the pushback I gave, at least from my own perspective, was this was not what was voted on in 24. Yeah. This is very, very different. It's vastly different. If you still feel like that's too similar for you, okay, that's your view. It felt like a lot of the against had a lot of the very same arguments, where maybe some of the for brought in a lot different variations of arguments. I think if you listen to me, I'm obviously for the downtown stadium because I just want Royals baseball in KC. I think that's the big thing for me. So, again, you could say, hey, I'm already on one side and I wasn't going to be swayed too much by other viewpoints. You could say that. But overall, it was a very long day, obviously. It didn't really get over until about maybe 1:45. Then we were able to talk with Brock Sherman Brooke Sherman of the Royal side.
Daniel Holmes will join us coming up at noon, and Brock Sherman.
Great with names, the zone,
killing it, man. Thank you to Jeff Martgom.
He gave he didn't take any questions, but he gave a little recap for the Royal side of things after. Then Mayor Lucas spoke for a while before he was heading out to Swope. A lot of people spoke, a lot of public. They listened. Everyone got 2 minutes. When your 2 minutes were up, you were done, and they were like, "Hey, I'm sorry," and they're like, "Get it." And
there was only one person that I think
about
was just
one or
like
two
ignoring and just kept talking. Like, it's time. I know, real quick.
It's time. About one or two, but almost every person was pretty good in that regard. It was kind of fun to see
how the government works behind the scenes that you're never privy to, because we're here playing in the sandbox of life, talking about sports.
Yeah, and quite frankly, it was nice to see, I think, a lot of how it works and whether you think it's efficient or not, or effective or not. It was I thought, pretty well done as far as, again, the respectability even on arguments, because Mayor Lucas was getting arguments even from people in his, I don't know if it's the cabinet or who some of the other council people.
Yeah.
And
because I want there to be a healthy discussion. I don't want this to be rubber stamped. I want this to be fully vetted by those that are put in place to be able to do that. I mean, their charge is to do what the best interest of the constituents are. And if they don't feel like whatever the deal that they are coming up with is in the best interest, I am fine with them offering feedback and fully vetting. I don't want the Frank White part of the just simply being obstructionist for the sake of being obstructionist. Is there a healthy discussion of, okay, this I can see as a benefit, but over here I've got some real questions. And if I'm going to view this as a benefit on B, then I need to know what A means and what A is going to offer, because if A is not what I think it is, then B doesn't matter anymore, as opposed to, rubber stamp, downtown baseball, let's do it, doesn't matter, what it may hurt or impact anything else.
And I think there was about, 2 hours almost of that, before they got to the public testimony. There was a lot of, even minutia, and that's what I was telling Easton, just some of the small languages that were going in, and for me, just being the dumbass that I am, some of it does go over my head, but I'm sitting here going, well, how much does that really matter? But instead of hypothetically, here was a word, just because I think, not even hypothetically, here's an example of the word responsibility. They wanted to change that to intent. And there was about a 15-minute argument and discussion of, well, can we change the word responsibility to intent in this document, and how does that change, right? It was a little fascinating of how much one word was a holdup for some people versus it being no, that can be changed later on just because we have the document currently here. There is things on Thursday, as we're getting into, that things can still be altered. It was just, to me, a little fascinating of that's how it works and how one word can be such a big holdup. There was a little discussion on if there is revenue sharing for parking. Again, parking, this was the most fascinating for me because, again, I like the sports side of things. I'm not great with the whole underline of how do you get it done. I just want it to be done, right? I don't care how it happens.
That's what your guys' job is.
That's your job.
I'm here to talk about it.
I'm here to talk about it, and I want it done. So they talked about 20,000 parking stalls. I don't know why they said stalls instead of spaces. I tried taking a picture of the screen, but the screen was too far away to get a good camera angle of it. But it said stalls, not spaces. Don't know if there's any distinction there. That's what it said, was 20,000 parking stalls. And there was discussion of if there is revenue sharing with the city when it comes to the parking stalls or spaces, how is that distributed? You know, does the 3rd district get it? Does the 5th district? And then we heard from them saying, well, I think the 3rd should get this, the 5th needs this, the 4th should do, and so that's what a lot of the discussion was yesterday before the public testimony. That's a lot of the minutia that I think maybe people don't care about. But again, I thought the cool part about it was 20,000 parking stalls.
Yeah.
I've heard so many people say, Sterling, stop talking about parking. Well, when you live if you're coming from Johnson County, which a large subset of people will be, I think people care about parking.
So that would be a parking garage that would be there, or parking around in different surface lots, or something that would be added in. So because if it's 3 blocks away that you can get to, but parking there, does that then count towards Royals parking for that particular surface lot? There's also if we're going to use this area that's also used for a business, then there has to be an amount of time to when those cars can leave versus that lot opening up for the public to be able to park there.
And that was some of the pushback from some of the people who said, hey, I get what you're saying when it comes to parking, but it's already tough enough to park downtown, and I work here, and if there's a game and I need to get to my job and we don't have, assigned parking, right? It's just on the street. Well, what do we do?
Yeah.
And so I think that was some of the concern of the congestion that's already there. That some of the pushback that I actually thought was a fair pushback, in my opinion. What was, hey, if you do work down there, you don't have assigned parking, and now all of a sudden people are coming in, and they're not taking the streetcar from, let's just say, even if you're in Lee Summit, if you're in Overland Park, or you're not taking the street, it doesn't go there.
Yeah.
So you have to drive.
Yeah. At least somewhere downtown.
At least somewhere downtown.
Maybe take the streetcar at that point. Let's hear from Mayor Q. This is clip number 4. This was after that meeting, the Finance, Governance, and Public Safety meeting. And one of the things that had been brought up in opposition that were sort of the main points, one of those was, you're giving a stadium to billionaires that should be able to afford it on their own. So you're giving the stadium to them. One of the other parts was, didn't the people already vote no with a resounding no on this project, and now you're going behind their backs and doing this under the table so it doesn't have to go to a vote for the people, which I've talked about both of those things sort of being more disingenuous than anything else. Here is Mayor Q after it was over. He was asked about specifically the part about giving a billionaire a stadium. Who actually will own said stadium?
It would be a city or other entity, but a government entity-owned ballpark. That's absolutely right. That's an important part of what the end transaction is. And frankly, I think that gives us even more potential community benefit long term. Events for the city, that's part of what you negotiate. That'd be part of the contract. But city-owned, as you know, we currently own the T-Mobile Center. The Port Authority owns CPKC Stadium. We look more to the city. Or parks, of course, Parks and Rec, and we have a meeting there in just a few, where that would be the transaction.
Or what would you tell the Jackson County residents that say, hey, we voted no for this in 2024, and you're still bringing it up? Well, you'll communicate with constituents.
Well, first I would start with Kansas City residents, whether they're in Jackson County, Clay County, Platte County, or Cass, which is that this is about keeping the Royals in Kansas City, Missouri. That's my focus as mayor of Kansas City, and I'm proud of that. To somebody who lives outside of Kansas City but is in Jackson County, I would say, and I heard from many of them, they want the teams to stay. I think if you had a poll today that said, do you want the teams to stay in, name your jurisdiction, the people would largely say yes. And I think what we have been able to do today at City Council is find a very good way to do that, a way that really requires no one who just lives in the county or in Kansas City to fund this stadium, other than somebody who is buying tickets, buying popcorn, buying a beer, either at the stadium or nearby on the site. That is the structure that we've set up today. This is fundamentally fiscally responsible. But the deal that we've set up today is based on revenues, particularly sales taxes and others, that come from the stadiums that go back into the project. So if you're somebody who was angry in 2024 and you live in Lee Summit, Grandview, or South Kansas City, or Midtown, or downtown, right? You can say, if I never go to the ballpark, I'm not paying for this team. I think that is something that is strong for us. And I think, frankly, that's going to be very fair for our taxpayers while being fair for our team.
So there you go. It would be a owned ballpark by the city, and it's a lease, which is why the ordinance is to enter into a lease agreement in good faith negotiations with the Royals with the ballpark that would be owned and run by the Parks and Recreation, which would allow then to have more dates out of the year outside of the 81 home games that you could drive revenue in that area, whether that be concerts or festivals or things like that, that they could have at the New K, at the downtown baseball stadium. And the second part about what would you say to the people that voted no on this, that now you are still going to continue moving forward with this project? That to me, and he could have very easily just come out and said, well, I would tell them that this is different. I would tell them that you're wrong. This is not, I'm not a politician. It would be right to the point for me. What do you have to people say that they voted for this already? I would say that they didn't vote for this. They didn't vote for this. They voted for something completely different. They voted for a 3/8-cent tax extension, an Arrowhead Stadium renovation, and a Kauffman Stadium that was going to be moved to the Crossroads. That was a very haphazard put-together deal that didn't even have people around the Crossroads that were on board. There would be people being displaced. There would be, some other things that go into it. There would be a lot of buildings that would have to be torn down, infrastructure more underneath than what may be already there at Washington Square. I would tell them that. I would tell them they didn't actually vote no on this. They voted no on something else. But he goes in and is a politician that says, well, what I would tell you is that if you're in the Kansas City area, my number one goal is to keep the Kansas City Royals in Kansas City. If you're outside of Kansas City, Missouri, and you're Jackson County, I tell you that, it's to keep the Royals in Kansas City. And if you live out there and you do not come down to the ballpark or spend money in the quote-unquote district around the ballpark, then you will not be paying for said ballpark. The 3/8-cent tax would have been paying for the ballpark. Anybody that spent money anywhere in Jackson County, that 3/8-cent tax was going to go to the renovations of Arrowhead and the new ballpark downtown. That's paying for the ballpark whether you go there or not. It is a tax that is, if you use it, the tax then goes to fund the project. The bigger question from all of that, which, yes, is a very massive distinction between the two, the question then becomes, what is the area of the ballpark district?
Sure.
What is that? If I'm going to Crown Center with my family and I'm not going to a Royals game and I'm going to Crown Center in November, am I now paying for the project? Are the taxes higher? Am I paying more for whatever product or services that I may be getting around Crown Center, or going to see Santa in the wintertime? Is that now going to fund the ballpark? Is it a split revenue part to where, well, actually they've done a deal with the Royals and the prices and everything is going to be the same, it's just a split of whatever the revenue is? Or is it also, this is the revenue on a year-by-year basis over the last 10 years at Crown Center or any of these other businesses that they have done work with, and this is the baseline. anything over that we will view as added revenue based on the ballpark being down there. And that added revenue then goes to fund the ballpark. That's part of the TIF district that you're taking those taxes and putting it towards that. There are a lot of details that have to be figured out about this, because what I think makes people question the project is when on the Kansas side, you have the Star bonds that were presented as the project will pay for itself in Star bonds by the money that is used, generated, the revenue, the taxes from the creation of the project in and of itself. And then we see the district start to go pretty far-reaching of just like, no. Any new business 20 miles away is now going to be part of the district. Any new business over here is going to be part of this project that will go back to pay the Star bonds. Well, that's not specifically generated and created as a revenue driver because of Arrowhead out in Kansas. So, yeah, I think there should be some skepticism as to how this is put together. And I think Mayor Q and the city council and the Royals and the negotiations and the other businesses around there should be very aware of the questions that people have, that they're still trying to figure out what the district is going to be on the Kansas side, as opposed to on the Missouri side, what actually is involved in that, and are they going out of their way to sort of mislead people, a little bait and switch of, no, it's only the ballpark district that's going to be revenue. Oh, actually, we're also going to extend this down all the way to UMKC and a little bit further south a little bit there. And anything that's generated over in that area, anything in the plaza, we're now going to include that. Like, that would be a little bit different than just this paying for itself and being a tax that they get if you actually use it. If you don't use it, they'll lose it.
You don't lose it.
Yeah.
You don't lose your money.
You don't. Yeah, if you don't use it, you won't lose it. Your money. It won't be coming out of your taxes. The 2024 vote, that was a specific tax.
I did like when he was asked, because there were a lot of people that said, hey, if you vote for this, then we're going to vote you out. That was a big...
Just be aware, we're going to remember this.
And so a question was, do you ever feel... not nervous, but do you ever have that sense of almost self-preservation, if that's the case? And he's like, I didn't get in this to worry about that. I always will do what I think is right. It might not always be right. I can't always see the future, but in the moment, I'm trying to do, because I can't think about I have to think about the forward thinking and what I personally believe is best. And that was a pretty good answer in regards to, hey, if that happens, it happens, but I at least want the legacy to be, I brought this here. I helped keep the Royals at least in Kansas City.
And look, we see the tweet last night that goes out, and after the Parks and Rec also voted to approve that, and he talks about the steps that are being made. And there were a good portion of people in the response were like, this is awesome, thank you. A couple of them were like, you know what, I didn't vote for you, but I appreciate this being done. This seems like an awesome deal. And there were a lot of other people that were, you're giving $600 million to a billionaire. This is the people that can afford to pay their own way. Now they're allowing them to, get public money. And it's just, I think the majority of people that talked yesterday in opposition of this, I think they are well aware of the difference of giving the money to a billionaire versus the taxes that are used from the bonding and the money actually going to those companies that are building the project. It's a $600 billion project. Means it will cost $600 billion. $600 million, thank you. It's a $1.9 billion project, but $600 million of that will be from the city to pay for the project. What do you think you're paying? Well, I mean, you're paying the people that are working on it. You're paying the people that are building it. So that's who's getting the money, not the billionaires. The valuation will go up for the billionaires. That certainly matters. And that's also part of the lease that is involved in that. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. We're hanging out at Heartland Men's Health. We'll talk with Daniel Holmes coming up at noon, get his thoughts on some Chiefs stuff, some mock drafts, some NFL, some prospects, some other things with Daniel Holmes at noon. We're hanging out at Heartland Men's Health Independence location. More Zone next. Wrapping things up here on this Wednesday 11-hour edition hanging out at Heartland Men's Health. We will switch the conversation to some Chiefs football. Daniel Holmes will be our guest. We'll talk about whether the Chiefs will get more offensive in the draft. 9 picks. What he takes from the Peter Schrager comments about Josh Simmons. We'll talk about that with Daniel Holmes as well. And curious in his time studying the prospects, the difference between a time that doesn't match up with the tape and what the tape shows and how you assess that. Daniel Holmes next. you go. Mike, I don't believe you if you said my mic's on. I don't care. I don't believe you. Is it on? Oh, okay. I don't believe you. Just going to sit here and have this conversation with my guy from Lee Summit North that's working here at Heartland Men's Health, Josh Caldwell. So that's what I'm going to do. So you just let me know when we're ready to go, man. Whenever we are ready and the music is playing and my mic is on. So just let me know that, Mike. That'd be great. And then we'll have
Is
Daniel
this thing
Holmes
on?
So thanks.
This thing is on.
Oh, is it? Okay, great. Well, why didn't you tell me earlier, man? Come on. We are hanging out at Heartland Men's Health today. The Independence location is where we are. HeartlandMen'sHealth.com. You can check that out. You can give them a call as well at 844-447-6600 and see about scheduling that consult there. 913-912-4810. Let's bring in Daniel Harms, RGR Football, Bleacher Report, joining us here to talk some NFL football, some Chiefs football with us on this Wednesday. Daniel, what's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good. Today's been really productive, coming off, a Tigers stolen victory last night against the Royals. It's fun. It's a good day.
You know what, Mike? Hang up on this guy. Hang up on him. We are not talking with him right now. Yeah, that was a rough one. Good for you though. Good for you. That was a rough one. But you know what? The Royals are definitely going to get them back tonight. Sure. They're going to score more than one run tonight. I'm joking. Who knows? I don't think they're going to score.
To be fair, some of the struggles that these teams have faced have been very, very similar in nature, with the offense struggling and not having a ton outside of a couple of pitchers. So it's been fun.
Yeah. No, that is absolutely true. And these two teams going up against each other going, hey, that team's struggling. We got a chance to take a series here. They're each looking at the other one like the Spider-Man meme, and they're both looking up and going, how are the Twins 11-7? It's supposed to be us that are going to win this division, not Minnesota. What's going on, guys? Yeah, so, kindred spirits right now between the Tigers and the Royals. Daniel Harms is our guest, RGR Football Bleacher Report. All right, Daniel, and I heard it from the grapevine, or heard it through the grapevine song a long time ago. Said, my dad told me believe half of what I hear or half of what I see and none of what I hear. So what do you believe in the next 8 days about what's going on in the draft that comes out from different prospects that teams are saying on this guy or that guy?
Honestly, I'm not believing a word of just about anything because this is the height of smoke season. It's hard to trust anything, especially like for instance, yesterday there were quote unquote reports that teams did not find the medicals under Mud McCoy favorable. But why didn't we hear that before? We heard stuff about Caleb Downs is in his medicals like a month and plus ago. But as soon as he runs his 40 at the pro day, oh, here it is. Here come the reports that the knee is degenerative. By the way, what a buzzword to have this draft cycle, degenerative. That could mean anything and sometimes means absolutely nothing to the longevity of their careers. So at the end of the day, it's really hard to single out and say, I'm going to believe everything that's being said and to know what it is, unless you have inside sources, which, no shock, I don't have any. You just kind of sit back and just wait and see what happens in the draft.
Yeah, I take more of this go around the Marvin Gaye approach. Believe of half of what I see and almost none of what I hear. But degenerative, what's degenerative? Football. Playing football is degenerative. I promise you.
Getting through your career is a problem.
Yeah. Your body isn't in better health after going through a full career in the NFL than not. But yeah, I just and there's a player that's connected to the Chiefs in Jordan Tyson. That I feel like the last few days there have been a lot more discussions happening around him and his injury and how, quote, injury prone he is. If those were just some of those freak accidents like the collarbone, if the soft tissue injury with the hamstring is something that would be, chronic with him in his career, or was it one-time deal? We hear a lot more of that coming out now, and it almost feels like there are more people that may have some inside sources that are moving Jordan Tyson higher and higher on the draft board. Are you seeing that as well? Yeah. And if so, is that just as we get closer to the draft, maybe there's more information that's coming from teams that actually, these teams like Jordan Tyson more than we thought they did, and we're going to start moving him up these different draft boards, different mock drafts, and different overall top 100s and top 200s?
I think that the consensus on the opinion of Jordan Tyson was always favorable. I think everyone likes what they see on tape and the player that he was. And there was a tweet from one of the ESPN guys. I apologize, I'm blanking on the name, but they were talking about how he played his best football in the best games, in the best moments.
It's Field Yates.
You go,
yep.
Yeah, yes, there was the Field Yates tweet about how you just look at all of the stats and the biggest games that he's played, and they're all really, really good. And so there's that part of it. And there's also, I say I don't have any sources. I did hear after the combine that teams felt good about his medicals. Like that was a thing that did happen, and it kind of got brushed under the rug. Like nobody talked about it because it was positive reports. It wasn't bringing somebody down. It was, we don't have an opportunity to do that here. So that's not really going to gauge headlines. It's not going to get clicks. So that feels like that's something that goes by the wayside when players have positive feedback from medicals, regardless of their status going into the combine. And now we're getting really close to him performing for the NFL teams on Friday. So we are going to see this uptick in buzz. I would imagine he's comfortable enough at this point to work out, to show everybody what he's capable of, because again, when we see it on tape, and we understand that if you don't push that soft tissue injury the first time it happens and come back to play against Colorado, he's probably healthy. He's probably participating in the combine, and everything probably goes well. However, when you do push it, these soft tissue injuries, they linger. They can be re-aggravated very, very easily, as we saw with Avion Terrell a few weeks ago at his pro day. So the soft tissue stuff isn't something that typically stays with long-term unless you keep pushing it. If you get fully healthy, it's most likely something that they can deal with, and that's what I've been told is that NFL teams aren't worried about the injury stuff long-term.
Do you find that to be a positive, that a guy who was viewed as, could be a first-round draft pick, that he's got the soft tissue injury and he says, nope, I don't care. I'm going to go out there and push through it and play because I want to play and we need to win this particular game for what we want to accomplish, and even some people advising him to, hey, sit out. No, you don't need to be doing this. Is that a positive or is that reckless?
I'm not sure he was the one that made the decision.
Interesting.
To be completely fair. I don't have information. I don't have a real 100% fully formed confirmation of that, but I understand that not every decision that is being made to help the player or the player is doing on their own. So I can't give you a yes or no on that. However, soft tissue stuff, as we all know, we have evidence and evidence to suggest you need to be healthy to come back. Playing through other injuries that you can't make worse, sure, go ahead. Yeah. That's great. We want to see that toughness. And honestly, with the game that he hurt his hamstring originally against Texas Tech, you actually saw him run through the play. Like he heard it earlier in the game. He fought it out. He ended up getting them in scoring range to, I believe, take a late lead in that game where I believe they did beat Texas Tech, or it was close at the end there. But it was because of him being able to fight through the injury there. But at the end, when you're trying to recover and make sure you're fully healthy, we want to hold off on that. We want to make sure you're fully healthy because there's such an easy thing to re-aggravate. So it's one thing to play tough through the injury initially, which he did. It's another one to have to come back maybe before you're ready and re-aggravate it. So it's a really twofold process there. I don't have a great answer for the second part, but we do see the toughness on tape from the initial injury.
Daniel Holmes is our guest, RGR Football and Bleacher Report. You mentioned a name in Avion Terrell, and it's something I wanted to bring up at some point with you, and a cornerback that, look, there are certain markers as a cornerback that you have to meet when it comes to the athleticism because, I mean, when you're going up against wide receivers, there's not a whole lot you can do for help out there. That's why they call it an island for a reason. And when you've got a guy like Avion Terrell who runs at his pro day and the 40-yard dash is much lower than what people would expect or hope, how do you take that into account with maybe there's a comparison with Reuben Bain on the arm length, and you're like, well, I watch him play, and I don't really see the arm length as being something that would hinder him from being productive. He's pretty dominant in college, even with the arm length. Avian Terrell, hey, here's what the time is, but I'm watching the tape, and I don't see a guy that, is slow and isn't athletic enough. How do you examine sort of the timed speed and what teams think of that and they put it in a certain category versus what you watch on tape and maybe gameplay speed?
We also have to remember he was injured when he ran the 40. He wasn't fully healthy when he ran the 40. Anyway, so the time itself is not a real evaluation of his 40-yard dash. So I just throw that out completely. I know going in he was nursing an injury. He re-aggravated anyway. So, I'm not even really thinking about the time in accordance with his tape. But for those players in that specific situation where they are fully healthy and they don't run a time you expect, whether good or bad, you just have to go see how they play on the field, because game speed is a much different process. Recovery speed is much different than a 40-yard dash. Most of the time, these players are not moving in a straight line 40 yards at a time. It just doesn't ever happen that way. So when we talk about the explosion metrics, like the 10-yard split's one of my favorite things, because how fast you get up specifically at a corner allows you to see how quickly they can close the gap, right? If you're an explosive player, the vertical and the broad jumper, the explosion metrics, you can test well in those. But if it doesn't show up on the tape because you lack the hip fluidity to turn, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if you can jump out of the gym. If you can't do those in applicable situations on the field, I don't really care about your explosion metrics in that regard. So it's great to have those athletes and those untapped potential guys that everyone's really looking for. But when it comes to a guy like Avian Terrell, and you watch the tape, he's explosive. He can cover downfield. He just has a little bit of trouble finding the football because he's smaller than some of the guys that he played against. But the player on the field is not slow. He doesn't have an issue keeping up with anybody that I really watched. He can do what he needs to from a footwork and technique perspective of clearing his hips and his feet when he's turning and running. And really the zone and man concepts that he ran at Clemson, he's able to he's still one of the best downhill zone players in the class in my mind, but he does have the ability to turn and run and not really lose a ton of that explosiveness and speed. So that's the really big thing here, is that we have to remember that moving on the field with cleats on and pads is a whole lot different, and there are far more factors that go into that with mental processing. If you're thinking too much, you're not playing fast. If you can process everything really high at a high level, you can play faster. All of that really plays into actual game speed.
Yeah, I know that Andy Reid said that Xavier Worthy was injured last year, which we know he was injured, but his injury affected the routes and how they used him, the way that they were planning on using him for year number 2 in his career. I don't know, maybe it's because of that, and maybe it's because the production hasn't been there. But I see Xavier Worthy's 40 time, and I watch him play, and then I see Tyreek Hill play, and I'm like, one guy has the most ridiculous game speed, and the other guy has an amazing 40-yard dash, but I don't see it being translated to game speed and necessarily. I don't know if that's a good example or not, because maybe other people say, no, Xavier Worthy, the game speed's there on these deep routes. They're just not connecting on it. I'm just not seeing it the way that I did with Tyreek Hill, that was like, oh, he's the fastest player in the NFL. Yeah, I can see that, because even with pads on, he's running away from fast players. And Xavier Worthy with pads on, although they are incredibly small pads, doesn't feel like he's a 4.2 40 guy on the field.
Yeah, it's a good example, but they're two very different explosive players, right? When we're talking about Xavier Worthy against man coverage and why you see him really tied to players downfield still, those guys are fast too. The reason Tyreek Hill was so good at getting open downfield is because when you're playing against like that soft press or that press man coverage, it's the lateral explosiveness and the release quickness that Tyreek Hill still probably clears everybody when he's fully healthy in the NFL. That lateral jump to be able to accelerate right as soon as his foot hits the path and he's stacking that DB immediately, those are two different types of players in that regard. So, yeah, Xavier Worthy, when he's open in space and you get him running up field, that's where his speed really shows up. Or if he has a free release, he can absolutely close that space well, and then you have the DB trying to turn with flat feet, and they can't keep up with him. But for the most part, that's my biggest issue with Xavier Worthy is the releases. He needs to continue to work on getting better, using his hands to keep DBs guessing on where he's going to go. Because for the most part, if you're just running an out route, or excuse me, you're just running a go right down the field, and there's not much with your hands or your intention at the release point, it's very easy for DBs in the NFL to keep up with you and stay in that hip pocket, even for a 4-2-1 guy, which, again, the speed does show up at different times. But when he's asked to run real routes, and actually he uses some of the intention and some of the quickness at the top of his route, which I still see from time to time, that's where you actually get the speed showing up and his ability to break guys off. So, he talked about it after his first year. He was thinking a lot, which makes sense. You're learning everything in Andy Reid's system. You're trying to figure out how your game speed needs to be in accordance with Patrick Mahomes. Second year probably would have been different, but then the injuries happened. So there's a lot that goes into that.
Visiting with Daniel Harms, RGR Football and Bleacher Report. I wanted to get your thoughts on Ruben Bain and what came out earlier this week. Is that do you think that impacts his draft stock? I mean, look, the draft analysts nationally are saying, hey, this isn't news because we've known about it, but it is news because the public didn't know about it. So it is certainly news that it's out there. They may have been doing their vetting, but certainly is newsworthy for people to find out about this particular thing. But does this affect, as we know about all the stuff that's happened, and we've talked about the tragedy of that, which is awful. But from what we discuss on the air, is it something that will affect his draft stock? Is it something that teams are not comfortable bringing him in with, let's say, a top 10 pick as opposed to maybe a first rounder, but later on in the first round? Do you think this impacts him at all?
So obviously it's news for the public. We don't get to see everything that goes on. That's part of the issue with draft season, is that there's always information out there. And you're right, NFL teams and scouts had this when it happened. Everyone was informed about it. So when we talk about the boards right now, they've had more than enough time to vet. The teams that bring him in for the 30 visit are asking him his point of view. They want to hear about his answer. And from everything that we've seen, which is very, very little, about the responses to that, teams have been very happy with his response to it. Also, the family of the tragedy, the victim of that tragedy, is also in favor of Ruben Bain. Like, they are happily promoting him. From everything that I have seen, there is no ill will towards Ruben Bain. There's no real at-fault situation here from the family on him. And again, if there's more information out there about that, I'll be happy to find it. But everything I have seen has been positive for Ruben Bain. So it's not going – I won't say it's not, because I don't know for sure. It should not impact his draft stock at this point. If it was going to, it would already be baked into whatever teams are willing or not willing to draft him based on their boards. So it's a situation that never should have happened right now. My understanding is the family did not want that information released until after the draft. So the person who did release that to the public is better than that, in my opinion. So, and maybe he just decided that it was more worth getting the traffic now than it would be after the draft. However, it should not overall impact the draft stock for Ruben Bain. If you bring him in, you vet him again properly with these 30 visits, you ask him his opinion, and we just kind of go on from there.
Visiting with Daniel Harms, RGR Football and Bleacher Report. There was a tweet this morning from Peter Schrager, and I want to get your thoughts on this as you've looked at a number of different drafts over the years and how it relates to this draft this year. Peter Schrager tweets out, text from a respected NFL GM in response to a heated discussion we had on the Schrager Hour podcast over whether a team can really take a safety, parentheses Downs, in the top 5 in 2026. Quote, throw positional value out this year, end quote. Food for thought is what Peter Schrager tweeted there. His last part was the food for thought. Positional value in 2026 versus other drafts. Brett Veach said this is a unique draft this year. Is this one of those to where, you know what, positional value shouldn't be factored into as much as other years because you, out of this draft, maybe just find really good football players that can play and maybe safer players that you know are going to be maybe Pro Bowlers at their position that may not be as high of value, position of value that we've seen in the past? Is that something that you've seen from this draft that you hear from a respected GM tell Peter Schrager, throw positional value out this year?
I always think that to an extent positional value should be ignored, especially if you're in a position to be able to just take on the good players. And I know we talk about running back an awful lot. There's I think a bigger detail to that position specifically that we've talked, like I said, we've talked a lot about that. But overall, this draft class it's like I go with Brett Veach. It is unique. There's a ton of really, really good players. Like there's a ton of really good players, and I'm never going to be one to disparage NFL draft classes because you're going to get core special teams players. You're going to get starters for a long, long time. I think you're going to have more than a handful of guys that turn out to be real stars in the league from this draft as well. But if you look at like quarterback, yeah, you got Fernando Mendoza and then some really big question marks. That usually doesn't happen. You typically have more quarterbacks that are going to go higher. Safety is extremely talented in this class. I think 3 of them are going to go in the first round. When does that usually happen? It doesn't usually happen. So, especially in today's day and age, even running back, I mean, Jeremiah Love is going to be the one guy that goes, but then there won't be another running back drafted maybe till late day 2. We'll see how Jadarian Price and Emmett Johnsons of the world and Mike Washingtons of the world end up being drafted. But you might see 4 drafted on the first 2 days. It just doesn't happen that way. So you talk about safety, you talk about linebacker, specifically on the defensive side, offensive line, the offensive side of the ball, the real only quote-unquote least valuable position is running back. So that talks about safety and linebacker. We're probably going to see more of them drafted. Day 2, you might see a lot of interior defensive tackles selected because there's not a huge amount of pure nose tackles in this class. And most of them should probably go on day 2. So you might see a run there. But it is a unique feel to it. So end of the day, you're going to have a ton of good players on your board. Draft the best ones that you can, and then find a way to make them fit in whatever you're looking to do, because the really good players like the Caleb Downses of the world, the guys that are high football IQ, really good culture setters, and that are just going to be starters from day 1, you want those guys on your team, and this draft is going to see a lot of those guys go in the first round.
Daniel Holmes is our guest, RGR Football Bleacher Report. Last one for you, Daniel. I want to get your thoughts on the we talked a lot about the edge rushing class, but we've talked about like Reuben Bain and David Bailey, and we'll see what Arvell Reese is going to end up being. But what I was wondering is, let's say at pick number 9, Bain isn't there, and the Chiefs go, Jordan Tyson. And or Daniel Jeremiah thinks that they'll add another toy for Eric Bieniemy, running back. Either way, it's not defense. It's not edge. Maybe it's downs. Whatever. Maybe it's a cornerback. But question would be, after Reuben Bain and David Bailey, I think at that point some of the edge rushers can be sort of in the eye of the beholder of who is doing the scout from different teams. Is there a player after those top 2, after Bain and Bailey, guys that will be drafted after the top 10 that you suspect that would be a fit? And I hate to say a Spags guy because, I feel like Spags guy doesn't necessarily mean first-round draft pick or number 29 or 40 overall. But is there a player that you look at and go, this feels like a Chiefs guy, whether it's fit or style, and it's not a guy in the top 10 that maybe 29 or 40 that would make sense and also would be productive? And it wouldn't be somebody, hey, let's just pick a project here that in a couple of years maybe he's good.
Yeah, this is, again, where it gets interesting. I think there's going to be a big run on edges near the back half of the first round. Guys like Malachi Lawrence out of UCF are going to be number 1 on that list because of the athletics, because of the build, the frame, the length, all that stuff for him. But there's 2 guys, I think, past the first pick in the draft that the Chiefs would make a lot of sense for. TJ Parker is the number 1 guy out of Clemson. He is 6'3". You could kind of get that up to 6'4" if you really wanted to, but he's over 6'3.5", 263 pounds. That's exactly what Spags and the Chiefs defense typically goes for. And when we talk about getting production out of these players, he's already a good run defender. He's still learning a bit more as a pass rusher, which makes sense considering that Clemson doesn't do a ton of developing players technique well. I don't think that the defense as well as the team is all that run very well. But that's my own personal opinion on the development of their players. We've seen a lot of guys take a hit from production over the past couple of seasons. TJ Parker's one of them. The other guy, Peter Woods, who's going to probably end up being a earlier day 2 guy now. So there's just some things that end up happening there that you're not always prepared for. But Parker is a name to look out for, I think, again, with his length and the size. One that's maybe under the radar, more of a second-round player, Gabe Jacas out of Illinois, 6'4", 260 pounds. Like, again, this type of profile that the Chiefs are always looking for. He's going to be one of those. I don't know where he's actually going to go in the draft because there's a lot of differing opinions on him. But the production before this past season was excellent at Illinois, and 33-inch arms, 10-inch hands. But those are really good spots for him. He didn't do anything at the combine except for the bench, which he had 30 reps with 33-inch arms at 225, which is kind of insane, to be very honest with you. And I just appreciate what he's able to do. He's going to get in the backfield. He had 13 and a half tackles for loss last year, 11 sacks. Sorry, I was thinking of somebody else. I was thinking of Kamara, who's down the board at Indiana a ways. But in 2024, Jacas had 8 sacks. This year, he had 11. So we see the production metrics go up for him and stay consistent with the 13 tackles for loss and 13 and a half tackles for loss in 2025. So those are good things for him, and he definitely would be probably more of a second-round option for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's a guy that production increased from 24 to 25, and T.J. Parker's a guy that 24, if he came out, might have been like, this guy's a first-rounder, this guy's top 15, maybe top 10. And then, like, he and Peter Woods might have been like Ohio State defensive players, like 2 top 10 picks if they were in the 2024 or 2025 draft instead of 2026. So we'll see. I just think if I'm starting to brace myself for 8 days from now that at pick number 9 that they're not going to get an edge, which I would love for Reuben Bain. But then, like, what's the next level? Because, my goodness, they need help at that spot and on the defensive line anywhere, really. So just some names to look out for. Daniel Harms, RGR Football, Bleacher Report. Daniel, appreciate the time, brother. We will talk next week, the day before the NFL draft. I'm looking forward to it. And we'll see over the next 2 days as the Royals take the next 2 from the Tigers. Thank you, Daniel.
I'm looking forward to it, man. One more before the draft.
That's right. Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. He's so good. Love talking with him and his breakdowns of the draft and the players. Other than him being a Tigers fan, everything else is really good about Daniel Harms. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Looking at Peter Schrager's mock draft, what he said about the Chiefs at offensive line at number 29, what he said about what the respected GM texted him about positional value with this. Hines Ward weighing in on Jordan Tyson and what he thinks about the injury concerns around a guy that he coached the last couple of years. Mick Schaefer will join us at 1 o'clock, KSHP 41 Sports Director. We're hanging out at Heartland Men's Health Independence location, Overland Park in North Kansas City. The other 2 locations as well for you. HeartlandMen'sHealth.com. You can give them a call, 844-447-6600. We take a timeout. We come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue hanging out here at Heartland Men's Health. The Independence location is where we are at today, heartlandmenshealth.com. 844-447-6600 is the phone number. If you are dealing with erectile dysfunction or low testosterone, many other things that they can treat, and whether that be weight loss, fat loss, building muscle, a lot of different things that go into an overall health for the men out there, and Heartland Men's Health is here to help you. We talked a lot of Royals in the first hour. We talked more Royals than they do hitting. We talked with Jeff Montgomery at 11 o'clock. We talked about the downtown baseball stadium and what came from those meetings yesterday. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock will be the full city council meeting to vote so that they can then enter into the good faith negotiations with the Royals. After those details come out, they will then have to vote on it again to approve whatever the negotiations have resulted in. And I'm going to guess that they are probably already a couple of steps down the road in that. I don't think if it's approved on Thursday with the city council that it'll be the first time that the Royals and the city were like, hey, let's discuss whether or not, we can have some sort of a lease agreement here. So we talked about that. Daniel Harms there in
legal
the previous
tampering,
segment.
basically.
It's what it is.
It's legal tampering.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the legal tampering period. It's the NIL portal period. The Royals are going to transfer from the Truman Sports Complex to Washington Square Park.
No loyalty anymore.
Roughly $1.9 billion.
Yeah, no loyalty anymore, huh?
That's what it's going to take is $1.9 billion for them to transfer from Truman Sports Complex to Washington Square Park. Some loyalty. Robert Wright returned to BYU. He took a visit to Kentucky with Stokes. He and Stokes were visiting Kentucky and Lexington at the same time, and Robert Wright leaves there and returns to BYU. So there you go. There's a visit on campus for the Kansas Jayhawks. They have Utah's leading scorer, Terrence Brown, 20 points per game, number 43 player in the transfer portal rankings, is taking a visit to Kansas after taking his visit to North Carolina. He's a good scorer, not necessarily the best shooter. I really think Bill Self should start looking at shooters a little bit more and guys that can knock down threes on a consistent basis. But we'll talk a little NIL and college basketball as well. I want to play this clip from Peter Schrager. This is clip number 1 here, Michael. This came out in the Schrager Hour podcast last night. They were going through their mock drafts. This is now at pick number 29. This is very different than pick number 9, obviously. In fact, it's 20 spots different. But pick 29, I am totally fine with the Chiefs taking a tackle. At 29, I think they could go anywhere except quarterback or running back. Like, I think they could go maybe not interior offensive line. I think they can go a lot of different places outside punter and kicker. I wouldn't draft at 29 either. So there are a few things that I would not draft at pick number 29. But at pick 9, yeah, there are a couple that I would like to see them draft. I don't want to see them draft an offensive lineman. Edge, wide receiver, if you go interior defensive line or cornerback, all of those things, I can see the value with that. At pick number 29, you can go edge, interior defensive line, tackle, wide receiver, tight end, safety, corner, off-ball linebacker, depending on who's there. Like Sonny Styles ain't going to be there, but if somebody like that was there, like I could see a lot of different ways that they could go. I wouldn't really have that big of a beef on who they take at 29 unless it's a running back or interior offensive lineman or something like that. So here's Peter Schrager giving the Chiefs at number 29 the selection. And it's not only the pick, what has people talking, it is his sort of breakdown of this pick and another player on the Chiefs. Let's take a listen. Here's Peter Schrager from the other night in the Schrager Hour podcast.
It's not going to wow the folks at home, and Chiefs fans might not love this, but with the 29th overall pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah. Just more offensive line help. We know that this is a position that they've invested in a bunch, and they have hit with a bunch of them in Creed Humphrey and, of course, with Trey Smith, but I'm not sure on Josh Simmons, their pick from a year ago, and I'm not sure they have the depth. So Caleb Lomu, who is not as famous or as well regarded as Spencer Fano, his teammate, I think he also goes first round. He goes 29th here to the Kansas City Chiefs.
So, as he said, Spencer Fano is a guy that may be taken in the top 10. He's been mocked to the Chiefs a couple of times. Maui Noah has also been mocked to the Chiefs a couple of times as the top 2 tackles on the board by sort of that general consensus. Lomu is, I guess it depends on who's answering the question. It could be Monroe Freeling, could be Blake Miller, Caden Proctor. It was, oh my goodness, who was it that was? It was Albert Breer with SI that in his news and notes from a couple of days ago, when he got to the odds and ends at the end of that, he said Caden Proctor is a guy that's going to go higher in the draft than people think. He thinks Caden Proctor is going to be a top 15 pick. Because some people have talked about Proctor at pick number 29 for the Chiefs. And what his assessment is, like things he's hearing, is that Proctor is going to go a lot higher than people think in this draft, and he thinks he's going to be a middle to higher teens.
Well, you
pick.
said size. It was the inconsistencies, though, of at times you're like, why aren't you dominating at that size in college? What happens when you get to the NFL?
Yeah.
I think Lomu's interesting.
Yeah.
I think, again, a guy who's played left tackle predominantly, obviously, in the Big 12 at Utah. 33 and 3/8-inch arms, so not the longest by any means, but they're not necessarily short. 6'6", 313, and the thing with him is he's a pass protector first. And in the write-up right here by, Lance Zerline says, pass pro, or his run blocking trails as pass protection, but improved pad level and a nasty demeanor can close the gap. So
And he's only 21 years old. The Chiefs like younger players. Do we think that was a throwaway comment about Josh Simmons in there by Schrager, or is that just a number of reasons why you give to at pick number 29? Hey, they pick him at 29, and if Josh Simmons is fine, he's your right tackle. They pick him at 29, and if Josh Simmons struggles, Lomu projects as a reliable NFL starter at a tackle position in the NFL. I think you can view it both ways. Or Schrager saying, things I'm hearing, there's some real concern about Josh Simmons if he's going to be a guy that's going to stay at left tackle. Because we've seen the Chiefs mocked with tackle, people saying Josh Simmons moving to right tackle. Or not only stay at left tackle, but be productive enough and available enough to where it would preclude you from drafting a tackle or having any concern about your left tackle for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I hope that the last left tackle, full-time starter, not injury replacement for Patrick Mahomes is Josh Simmons. And he gets a big contract when his rookie deal is up, because that would mean that he has met and exceeded the expectations on being a first-rounder, and everything has remained healthy with him. I don't know what to make with Peter Schrager. I think it's more of a, hey, I'm just going to give different reasons as to why I'm giving them a tackle at number 29, and Josh Simmons missing games last year is part of it.
Well, I think the second part for sure has to be in the equation no matter what. The first part is more convoluted, or at least difficult to ascertain. I will say Peter Schrager seems to be in the know with a lot of KC stuff, right? He does have a lot of good connections, so I don't think it would just be complete unfounded.
Yeah.
I think either way, with the injury concerns that's already happened in his career, in college, and then the what the bleep happened, no one really still knows. Yeah. Fair or not, it did happen, and he did miss games. For whatever reason it might be, he did miss games. And so there is that concern of, is that the outlier and that's a one-off? Or is that something that you do have to keep in the back of your mind of, well, that might happen again? You do have, obviously, Jalen Moore, but there's only 1 year left on his contract. Do you trust Esapole to be a starter going forward if Josh or Jalen were to miss time, or at least even Esapole next year?
Yeah.
I think Josh Simmons is your left tackle when healthy and available. I don't think there's any concern of me talent level-wise with Josh Simmons. I don't have a talent level concern of him sticking on the left side. There's none of that, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I do think there is at least a depth concern, especially after this year of, well, then who's your right tackle?
Well, and I think that's part of the draft is why I was so frustrated, and I think a lot of people were, and we've talked about this a lot, and it's been well discussed since then in the 2020 draft when they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The frustration there was you were drafting for what you felt like the roster was that year, and just like, hey, let's throw this little toy in there, which is like a part of like Daniel Jeremiah with Rich Eisen on SportsCenter and drafting Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs at number 9 to say that, oh, you can give Eric Bieniemy another toy. Okay, so now you're going to give him the most expensive backfield in the NFL for a team that doesn't run the football that much. That's just absurd to think that the Chiefs would take Jeremiah Love at number 9. The best thing about Jeremiah Love being there at number 9 is there might be a team that wants to pay to move up to get Jeremiah Love at number 9. Not going to be in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform next year. But you can't go into this draft without thinking of the 2027 draft.
No.
Because what are the needs in 2027?
I think Veach learned. I do think
that was the big Clyde Edwards-Helaire issue.
I know, and it was a huge miss.
Yeah.
But I think he learned that there's no such thing as a luxury pick.
Yeah, but like, what are the needs that they're going to have when we go into the 2027 draft? What are we going to be talking about? I think we'll be talking about cornerback because Fulton will be done with his contract. We'll be talking about tackle because Jalen Moore will be done, and we'll see what Esapole looks like.
Correct.
We'll be talking about maybe still talking about defensive end. We'll be talking about wide receiver because Rashee Rice will be a free agent. I'm saying if they don't draft these particular players, you're going to be in the conversation for 2027 of what those needs are. Some of those needs are this year and next year. Wide receiver takes care of both this year and also the questions of 2027. If you draft a wide receiver in the first round, that better be to where in the 2027 draft you're not going, boy, you need a wide receiver. Well, you just took Tyson and you had Xavier Worthy. Why do you still need a wide receiver? Okay, well, that's not great. 2027 might be a full-on, this is a tight end draft. Like that may be going into it, that this is a draft where the biggest need, they're mocked everywhere on it. It's tight end.
This year feels edge.
Yes.
I mean, to me personally, and that's why I'm always so shocked when these national people don't mock edges. I think if they don't take an edge at 9, you almost have to at 29.
I am in complete
That's why I'm
agreement.
saying I'm okay with Lomu at 29 if an edge is taken at 9.
If Bain's at 9.
If Bain's at 9, I think that's a hell of a 1-2. I'd be thrilled with that. But if you draft, I don't know.
Well, he took. Traeger has Tyson at 9.
If you take Tyson and
Tyson
Lomu,
and Lomu,
I'm not a fan because edge is so bad, and because I don't think Zion Young's getting there to 40. So So if you told me it was Tyson, Lomu, and then Zion Young, okay, I would be like, that's a damn good 3. I'd say yes, I'd be all in.
Daniel Harms gave a couple names: T.J. Parker and Gabe Yakus from Illinois. T.J. Parker, Clemson. If it's Tyson, Lomu, and T.J. Parker, like, okay, I can see it because I don't think Parker's
gone. If Bain's gone, then the answer Then the answer would be like, okay, that's a pretty damn good draft.
Because I don't see Parker making it to 40. And so if he's there at 40, but if he's there at 40, it's like, okay, well, that's pretty good because you got a lot of value in that spot as somebody that probably should have been a first rounder. Maybe the Chiefs have him as a, not a first round grade. Certainly, there's very few of those in this year's draft.
But I think that's always what's hard is we're obviously talking in hypotheticals. We don't know, and we won't know until it happens. But sometimes the fun of what we do is getting into the minutia of these situations because I am nervous that the Chiefs might miss the pockets. They might not have a chance to go for Bain, Bailey, or Reese, right?
Then you drop down to 29. So now are you missing a group of tackles or a run
guys?
On edge?
And then after 29, if you're like, well, we think we can get either Parker or Zion at 40. I don't think those guys are making it to 40. So if you don't get a tackle at 9 or 29, I'm real nervous that you're getting at least edge. Edge. I mean a starter. Yeah. You'll draft a guy later on, I would assume, but you're getting into the Ashton Gelati range of can they be Mike Dana? Mm-hmm. Can they be a rotational piece? And that's not what we think the Chiefs need, especially after the disaster that was the edge position last year. They lost guys. They've now replaced those guys. What are you doing? This was my concern, dude, the whole offseason when you didn't address edge and free agency. And now we're hoping and praying for a 37-year-old Cam Jordan to waltz on, hobble in to Kansas City.
I don't know that anybody's hoping and praying for that, but
I
that
am.
might be a solution. Who knows? There are a lot of issues.
Give me Calais Campbell and Cam Jordan making old folks home
Names.
on this D-line.
Names. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling, hanging out at Heartland Men's Health. Wrapping up this hour, Mick Schaefer joins us in the 1 o'clock hour. More Zone next. All right, Heartland Men's Health is a spot for you if you are a man out there dealing with ED or low testosterone or, trying to lose weight, trying to put on muscle, lose fat, burn that. It's Heartland Men's Health. You can check them out, heartlandmenshealth.com. 844-447-6600 is the number you can call to get a hold of Heartland Men's Health. We've got one more hour to go hanging out here. We will talk with Mick Schaefer coming up Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk presents Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Get his thoughts on some college basketball NIL. BYU has had a big 10 minutes or so. Kansas is getting a visit from Terrence Brown, Utah's number one scorer at almost 20 points per game. Mizzou, a couple of players. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer next.
Twitter thinks he's funny.
Shame on you nerds.
His wife and kids think he's lame.
No!
We couldn't get Paul, so we're stuck with Mick.
Yep. Okay, still got it going on.
Mick Schaefer on the Zone with Jason Anderson.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
We are hanging out at Heartland Men's Health Independence location between Blue Springs and Lee Summit. 844-447-6600 is the phone number, or you can visit heartlandmenshealth.com. Sterling Holmes here hanging out with us as well. Michael Darcia back at the station. And Mick Schaefer joining us from KSHB 41. He's the sports director presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk here on this Wednesday edition. Hello, Mick. How are you?
What's up, fools?
He's talking to you, Sterling.
Oh, yeah.
You are fools, plural. You're multiple fools.
I'm multiple.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right. Well, there are other people
Stu
here.
and
It's just
Sterling.
That's right. Yep, you go by two different things. He's got different personalities.
That was a
come out.
good text by Mick. Mick goes, is it spelled S-T-U or S-T-E-W? And I said, it's S-T-U and I'm drinking. And so he just goes, okay, good to clear that one up, Stu, with S-T-U.
Yeah, I think it would have been funny if you'd have said, well, my friends spell it S-T-E-W, and then he would have said, okay, thanks, Stu, S-T-U.
It's been both, honestly. I don't have a preference. I don't give a hoot.
Or a what?
Nor a holler, quite frankly.
Yeah. I didn't think you did.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Mick, have you ever given a holler while not giving a hoot, or vice versa?
I'm one or the other. When I'm giving a hoot, I'm not giving a holler, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yes.
And
if
usually
I'm not
when
giving
I'm
a hoot,
perplexed,
I definitely will give the holler.
Usually when I'm perplexed, I'm also flummoxed.
What about befuddled? Are you ever befuddled?
You know what you're like, Stu Sterling, is my dad has like 20 things he's going to say. That's it. And I always know what's coming. And you're kind of programmed that way. You're like the old school Madden game. I know on a 3rd and 5, if I pick up the first down, there's going to be 2 or 3 things that's going to be said.
It's a lot of verticals thrown to the tight end. It's a lot of running verticals with Mike Vick and Madden 04 and running out and just running. You know the play. It's a classic.
To the 20, down at the 15.
And the Royals offense is 2 scoops of ass.
See, you knew he was going to go there.
That's
Mick,
one of those things he says, yes.
Yep, that is definitely a go-to. That's
one
right
of
up there on the
that's
shelf.
Loaded
that's
in my cartridge.
Definitely the favorite toy that he goes to when he goes in the playroom.
Buns, too, says that.
It's got this one on the shelf.
Buns.
Yeah. Yep.
Buns, cheeks. You have cheeks. A lot of ass.
Yeah, we're getting
Well,
that.
Mizzou got the ass when they brought in Jalen Carey from Tennessee.
That's true. They did do
a lot
that.
more rebounds coming Missouri's way.
Well, you would hope. You know, I don't know. Maybe if is it a player thing? Is it a Dennis Gates thing? I don't know. Hopefully it's just a player thing, and then Jalen Carey gets in there. Robert Wright did return to BYU, so that's good. They also got another player in the transfer portal from Clemson all in the last 10 minutes or so. KU's got Terrence Brown that is visiting from Utah. K-State has 5 transfers already, including getting JT Rock, which is just an amazing name.
Yeah.
That's one of the coolest names. Who'd you get in the transfer portal? JT Rock? I don't even care how good he is. I just know that name, that'll play.
7-1.
7-1 named JT Rock.
260.
JT Rock. Love it, man. Love it. Mick Flory commits to Kansas. There's a reported
who did?
$9 million between. Excuse me, Flory commits to Louisville from Kansas. Okay. There's a reported $9 million between the Oregon guard Shelstead and Flory, so they didn't leave Louisville when they were on their visit. I mean, I know that we're talking about value is what you're worth, and if somebody's willing to pay you. But some of the reports are 5 for Flory and 4 for the Oregon guard.
Yeah.
Man, if he was going for 5, I can understand why Bill Self was saying, you know what, shake your hand, great 2 years, best of luck to you, son. Hopefully you can go and get the money, and I want nothing but the best for you, but it ain't happening here.
Yeah, and now we believe Goodman report of guys averaging 5 points a game are asking for $6 million per year. It's just crazy that not the Flory part. I would have guessed maybe more 6 and 3. I would value Flory much more than this guy. But I mean, at this point, KU needs players at this point, and so they better lock down Terrence Brown and a lot of these other guys, because so many of these top guys in the portal, they're gone already. They've committed already.
They just need shooters, man. I can't
that's every
imagine.
Year. When's the last time they had a dead-eye shooter?
I know. Right, and that's what I'm saying. I can't imagine Bill Self going into this basketball season and going, well, they may struggle from behind the arc this year. It can't be said again about this Kansas basketball team. Because at that point, if we are getting into that, then we start to get into the territory of, okay, is he adapting to the new game? Or is he understanding, what it's taking to win some of these games? And yes, Michigan didn't shoot the ball well in the championship, and so it wasn't just they got there by knocking down a whole bunch of threes. They were a more balanced team overall when they didn't knock down the threes, but they were also a team that made 10 threes a game until they got to the championship game against UConn. Like, if it's another year where you're going, I just don't see the shooters out there on the floor, then I think that's a real question and an issue for Kansas and Bill Self moving forward, if he's ever going to adapt and say, you got to have one or two guys on the floor to space the floor and to knock down the shot. It can't all be the high-low, mid-range, playing hard-nosed man-to-man defense and getting out in transition and scoring from time to time.
Yeah, when you have those shooters on the floor, it becomes easier is getting to the rim, right? Because your guy is out there on you. That creates more space, and you're able to do so much more. I'm still shocked at how KU has not only not dominated the portal era, but has really been behind in it, right? They've got some big guys, some Hunter Dickinsons that haven't really panned out. And they've had some nice players like Trey White and Melvin Council that's come in. But you look in these
Zeke
ratings.
Mayo was nice.
Zeke Mayo was nice. But you look at these ratings of the
nice
top, 10, 12 guys, 15, 20. Literally, they don't have any of them right now. And I would have guessed in this portal world that they would have several every year that just immediately flock to Kansas. Guys that average double digits for major conference teams wanting to switch over and wear that Kansas across their chest. So maybe it's a money thing. Maybe it's the uncertainty of Bill Self, although, it's the uncertainty of every class this year. You say he's only going to be around for 1 or 2 more years. The kids are like, yeah, that's all we're going to be around for, too, at our next stop.
It's year to year.
It's fine.
Yeah, so are we.
It's fine.
It's like, hey, you can't. That's a great point. There's no negative recruiting anymore about, well, that coach is going to leave after next year. Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, that sounds like forever from now.
Yeah. He's going to be there till next March.
Whoa.
I don't know that I'm going to be there till
Earth
next
still
March.
Be rotating then?
I'm not even sure. When's Artemis 3 going? I don't know. That seems like a decade away. Who knows what's going to happen in that time? I may not even be there in the second semester. Man, it's a really good point. You would have been recruited against. Like Kansas in years past would have been recruited against okay, you're going to go to Kansas. What's he going to be there, a year? Then what? Then you're going to have to transfer, sit out a year. If he retires or steps away, then it's a new coach that doesn't know me. That's right. Now you don't get recruited against. I saw Bryson Tiller canceled his trip to Arizona and his recruiting visit to Arizona, which makes perfect sense, Mick, because if you're going to play for Tommy Lloyd, just return to Kansas and play for him in 2027.
Right, yes.
It's just why go to Arizona to play for him and then have to transfer to Kansas to play for him again?
Doesn't want to be a Wildcat, wants to be a Tiger.
Maybe he left. He went on his visit and went somewhere else. The Louisville didn't let Flory leave.
Well,
I know
the
I
Tigers keep
things.
bringing in big guys is the deal. So I wonder how much that's changed things.
Yeah, they need some front court players, man. They need some front court players. They need a couple of more guards. They got the wing, that's good, but
they're in
still
way
need
better
some,
shape than
some
KU. K-State's in way better shape than KU.
Yeah. At least from a numbers standpoint. Look, K-State and Casey Alexander, we knew he was going to be a guy that focused on shooting.
Just not his own guys,
I just didn't expect. Yeah, that's true. I also didn't expect it to be like, let's go get the 7-1 guy that shot the three-pointer 60 different times last year and shot 40%. Well, even our 7-1 center is going to be a guy that's going to shoot 60 threes, which, by the way, quick math, that's 2 per game. Three-pointers per game from your 7-1 center. The shooting guard they got shoots 40% on 170 attempts. Yeah. And the point guard they got, the Rocksteiner kid, shoots 40% on 207 attempts. He's the point guard. Casey Alexander was like, if you can shoot it, we are open for business. Can shoot, will play. Is what you're going to do at K-State for the Wildcats.
You know who could change this around for KU, and I don't think he's committed anywhere. Momcilovic, is he still out there?
Oh, he's still out there. Milan Momcilovic.
If you land him, who could be the best shooter in the country, and Terrence Brown, you've got 2 of the biggest weapons in the Big 12 right there.
100%.
And then you add
100%. You get
Class
those two
and
guys.
maybe Stokes. I don't know if maybe he'll be committed by next year at this point. But you have a great class coming in, and then all of a sudden maybe there's a McDowell or a Tiller that slides back from the portal, and you get to retain them all off Flory last year. I think Momcilovic could really he's like the right now. I'm thinking you got to have 5 or 6 guys that are guys at this point. If you land him and Brown. I think all of a sudden, okay, all these things I'm saying and all the fretting I think KU fans are doing, I think that does a 180.
So he's a dude, and that'd be massive for Kansas.
He's probably
number 2 in the
35
portal.
too. He's been around forever at Ames.
The issue is he's actually a junior. He's only 21, and he just looks older.
Yes.
I'm
thinking of Dad Chilovich. It's his father.
Grandmom Chilovich.
Uncle Chilovich.
He
much older.
He put his name in the NBA draft, and while I don't think he would be a first rounder, I do think he'd be drafted.
He must not play defense. I don't know why, because he's tall and he can hit from anywhere.
He
shoots 50% from behind.
He's
the
a
arc.
shooter, pretty much predominantly. He's not going to be a guy who's taking you off the dribble or doing any of those more NBA-esque aspects. He's 6'8", 220, though, and he shot 48.7% from three. Yeah. Phenomenal free throw shooter.
And he's been around. Everybody knows, he's page 1 of the scouting report, right? When you play Iowa State, it's not like 100%. He just came on last year. He's been doing it for 3 years at Iowa State.
But so for me, I do think, and maybe people disagree, but he shot that on 7.5 3-point attempts last year. So I think that there's a pretty good chance he ends up getting drafted. And if that's the case, then maybe KU can offer him more money and he decides to come back for one more year. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing for him is it wouldn't be KU with other schools. It's KU trying to keep him away from going pro.
And it just sort of depends on where he's at. I mean, they did was it Derek Wolfe and what he got around what they think Flory would go, and Flory got twice as much money as Derek Wolfe and where he get drafted in the NBA last year, and we'll see where
Danny Wolfe, I think. Wasn't
Danny Wolfe, where they think Momcilovic will go. But I don't know how much Momcilovic will ask for in the transfer portal. If Flory got 5, I mean, and Momcilovic is the second best player out there, then maybe he's asking for the same thing. But if we're talking about Stokes as a freshman or the roster construction of piecing it out and Terrence Brown and Momcilovic, I'd rather have that combo than the number 1 freshman in America and Stokes is just a stud. You went down that road. Yeah. You saw what
Several
that looked
times,
like.
Yes.
Yeah, I will take even if I have to spend a couple of million more to get Momcilovic and Terrence Brown on the floor instead of just Stokes.
I mean, look, so many times in Lawrence. They draft on potential, but the NCAA tournament still keeps tracking points, right? You don't advance to the Sweet 16 and the Final Four based on potential, basically. And so a lot of these times, that's what those freshmen have is just that, and they don't have the polished game for the college basketball realm to take entire teams through March into a title.
I wish they advanced on who the favorite in the game was, because in Missouri would have had a Sweet 16 in Dennis Gates' first year, and second round the next couple tournaments the last 2 years.
I wish they advanced on what the mascots would actually do in a fight, because the Cowboys have guns.
What about if the mascot gets throat chopped by LaMelo Ball? What happens then if the mascot does that? Does the hornet die? If you throat chop a hornet, does it die?
Am I the only one that thought he delivered a worse blow to the mascot than he did to Adebayo?
Bam Adebayo.
Yes. I'm I get
it would have
that.
Been funny had
he's falling down. He's throwing his arms everywhere. He's kind of mad. He didn't know where Adebayo was, and he was, that was going to be up in him. He knew that's a giant mascot head in your face, and you're just going for the jugular. I had to watch that 3 times just to make sure. Okay, I think that was on accident.
I tweeted it out that I'm LaMelo Ball after the game, and it was Ace Ventura fighting the Eagles mascot at the end there with the Dolphins and Eagles were playing. He just going to town on that guy. Unbelievable, man. And now the NBA is looking into the tripping by LaMelo Ball.
Well, when you trip the second all-time score in a game,
right.
you're going to get repercussions.
Just not in the game, though. Just not in that actual game. You're not going to get that. They aren't going to suspend him for the play-in game on Friday. But what they'll probably do is do the old Draymond Green, well, we're going to charge you with a flagrant, and as those add up, then you will be suspended for a game, like Draymond eventually missed, Game 5 of the 2015 finals.
The Rasheed Wallace situation.
I think that's what they're going to do. They're not going to suspend him for an elimination game on Friday to make the playoffs or not. I think they're going to just give him one of those, you've been assessed a flagrant, and those things are going to accumulate. So, I don't think they're going to do that. But they may give him 2 flagrants for what he did to the mascot, too. So that might end up in a suspension.
That's the worst thing, I'm telling you. Right there. That's like a 5'10", 185-pound dude in there, okay? Man.
Yeah. This is one of the crazier things I've seen after him. He just started punching him and throat chopping.
That game was out of control. That game was just out of control.
And then Ball hit the game winner.
Yeah.
Yes.
After Tyler Hero with that ridiculous 3 in the corner, and then they steal the ball, and he's got it in the lane, and he's like, nah, I'm going to dribble out here to shoot a 3 down by 2 because why not? And he gets fouled and makes all 3 free throws. Like Kobe White with the ridiculous 3 at the end of regulation. That was a fun game to watch. The NBA started for me last night.
It did.
Sixers play tonight.
Well, and all the guys played, right, Sterling? All the guys, the best guys on the team played. They got to play.
Every single one.
Although it would be hilarious if you tanked in the play-in so that you.
But, hey, will this surprise anyone? Embiid's out tonight.
Really?
No.
Man. Next thing you're to tell me is
it's actually appendicitis, which kind of sucks. That's unfortunate, but.
Is Anthony Davis missing games? If you tell me that, I'm just not going to believe you when it comes to these big men and injuries.
I don't care, dude. 10-9-8 76ers. Tyrese Maxey is going to carry this Sixers team to glory over the Magic. The Magic will be squashed. Orlando will be filled with crying children in Disney as the Sixers will move in to the real playoffs.
I think that the NBA and most pro leagues now do have too many teams in the playoffs. It's obviously not going backwards. I get it, but 20 out of 30 or 32, whatever, I think is too much. But I do like how they do the play-in games of 10, 9, 8, 7. And, like, if you're 9 or 8, you got to win 2, basically. And 7 or 8, you got to win 1. Although it's like every time it's math for me. I'm like, so, okay, the 9 seed, you won, so then you do. What do you do? Okay, you have another one. Oh, you're the 7. You lost. So what happens now? But I do think that's very creative how they do that.
When I remember when it first happened, and people were like, "Wait, why is a 7 playing the 8 and the 9 playing the 10?" I'm like, "No, because 7 and 8 only have to win 1 game, and the 9 and 10 have to win 2."
It makes sense. I think we've never seen it. I don't think in any other playoff bracket because usually 8, 9, and 7, 10, and so I like how they do that.
Well, it's a couple things that these 2 major sports leagues have implemented that they've seen come to fruition of what they imagined. The play-in game with Adam Silver and the WBC with MLB. Like, we're seeing, like, this is what they envisioned of having the drama of getting into the playoffs. And we know that, these teams are not going to win the whole thing. But, hey, it's sort of like the Cinderella team in the first round or the play-in game. Like, oh, man, you got it. You made the tournament. You're going to get smoked in the next round, but you made the tournament. That's so cool, man. You guys won, and now you get to lose to the Spurs. That's all good for you, man. That's so cool, dude. And with the WBC, it's, like, so much better than I think Major League Baseball could have ever imagined when they thought of it. It took a number of tournaments, but to get to this year, it was like incredible drama.
It's a one-off, too. And then after this, they're all 7-game series to where, like, games 1 through 5. At the end, you could be like, okay, they won, but, okay, they have a chance here next. And so the real drama isn't until, game 6 or 7.
But it shows the value of the 1-game elimination tournaments with football, I think the next round college should basketball.
The next round should be 3 games, and then 5, and then maybe conference finals and finals do 7. But, again, they're not going back to that.
Or just increase by 1. Best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, best of 9.
Best of 9. I would settle for that. If that meant some 3-game series here for the next round, because that's you would have
3, 5, 7, 9.
You would have some 8-1 and 7-2 upsets that way, and I'm sure the NBA doesn't want that. But sign me up for a 9-game series. I'm cool with that.
Let's do it. If it's a good one, if it's a really good series, but they got swept 5-0. That sucks.
That seems short to me. I need at least 11 games.
No team has ever come back from an 0-4 deficit in a 9-game series before.
Well, which was the pivotal game then? Which one's the pivotal?
1, 2, and 3 don't become pivotal anymore.
Yeah, they're no longer pivotal games.
No longer pivotal games in that one.
You have guys sitting out still. They're load managing until the fourth game.
We don't want to waste them for games 8 and 9.
Yeah,
you need to come back around for game 9. Who's on the bump in the game 9 of the World Series? Mick Schaefer is with
Willis
us.
Reed is hobbling in his grave right now. He is so mad at these guys.
Maybe, I don't know, or he's being wheeled in there. I'm not sure.
Is he alive?
Paul Pierce
he's
is,
dead?
I looked it up. Willis Reed passed away in 2023, but that's one of the greatest sports. That and Kirk Gibson, as far as injury sports moments, Willis Reed doing that is
it was big. I feel like it's been blown out of proportion a little bit.
Well, it wasn't like he went for 20 and 10. He hit his first jumper.
Leg. Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Mahomes against the Eagles was a bigger.
I don't know. Willis Reed had
Gibson and Willis Reed.
I disagree, dude.
I totally agree.
As far as strictly injury, Willis Reed was gnarly.
Did he dislocate his knee?
I think his whole hamstring was ripped off the bone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, severe thigh injury.
He might have had one of those injuries that they just didn't know about then, right? Like Mickey Mantle tore an ACL 10 times probably. They just didn't know what that was back then.
Yeah.
This dude has his torn thigh off of his muscle, and you're like, hey, Willis, go ahead and go play. No. Just go ahead and play 27 minutes in this game.
Mahomes against the Eagles is more.
I think so, too, because he's the A1 player out there, and everything
and he's on one
depended on him. And
took him 3 more months after that before he
healed.
Thanks to
Rihanna for flying in the sky for so long at that halftime. And he was allowed to get everything known to man, all the medicine injected into him.
That's exactly right. Thank God for that, and putting ice on the field when the Chiefs were on offense to keep the Eagles' defense from being able to get there only because of the turf. Yes. It sucks that they were only ones that played on that turf. The Chiefs' defense did not. But no, the Kirk Gibson and the Willis Reed, those things are, yes, throughout the years they've been blown up.
It was it's a World Series game winner homer.
It was.
Whereas I don't even know. Was Willis Reed? Was he a star in that game, or he just kind of
not in the game. He played 27 minutes. He only had 4 points, but he was a star.
Yeah,
I mean, Willis Reed was the heart of those Knicks.
It's Mahomes. They got every single yard in the second half in the Super Bowl that they wanted to get. The only yard they didn't get, they took a knee at the one. It's Mahomes in the ankle.
Yeah, and he had 11 guys every play, basically.
If Mahomes did that if that was in the Super Bowl in like '78. We'd be talking about, oh, man, that 78 Super Bowl with that Mahomes character when he only had one ankle and he could barely walk and led him to the Super Bowl victory.
I don't argue, but Willis Reed, he was the 4th in MVP voting after winning MVP the year prior.
Oh, Mahomes is an MVP, though?
He was really good, but he wasn't great in that game, yeah. But
no, because he had a torn thigh.
It's like
and Mahomes had a severe ankle sprain that he would have missed like a month of football if he'd have had that in the regular season.
What's the Montana? What's the
Go
Montana
ahead.
to Clark? Was that a conference championship game with like 2 minutes left, and Clark just kind of raised his hand, jumped up a little bit, and got it in the corner of the end zone?
That might be the most
and
overrated
they treat
one.
it like, I mean, it's on video games. Check mobile. It's like the greatest play ever. Chris Berman happened to be there in the infancy of ESPN, and he played that over and over again. We see that 3 times every playoff now.
Well, Mick, if you slow it down and you see he jumped and his arms were above his head, and that's a catch.
Wild.
That's a touchdown. So you have to count it.
It's true. Yeah. That is crazy. I mean, we've seen some in the Super Bowl that have been like Super Bowl MVPs. Santonio Holmes catch
that was
in the back of the end zone was amazing.
Yeah,
and that was in the Super Bowl and got him a Super Bowl
MVP. Hear me out. Imagine these 2 plays happening in a Super Bowl.
Which 2?
Jadeveon Clowney when he killed a guy and grabbed the ball. Yeah, in college. Imagine that
got him
play happened.
Drafted, basically. Well, I mean, drafted. that got him in the.
That got him 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
Yeah.
So imagine if that happened in a Super Bowl, or 2, imagine if Odell Beckham Jr.'s catch happened in a Super Bowl.
Pretty good.
If that one happened, that one would be played everywhere for every time of everything.
Let me throw a couple more.
Tyree's pretty close to that. David Tyree in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the helmet catch,
Mahomes' left-handed pass.
Oh, my gosh.
Or Mahomes' run against the Titans in the AFC Championship game before halftime.
The Mahomes run.
That'd be shown over and over and over again in Super Bowls.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And that was an AFC Championship game. That was better than Dwight Clark catching the football. That run by Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But Berman wasn't there. And I like Chris Berman a lot. Whoop! All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come
Will we be back?
Yeah, we are going to be that. We are going to take a timeout. And you know what? We haven't done this in a while. So, next week we're not going to be able to do it. So should we Rotten Tomato this thing?
Oh, man, you're making Sterling Stew's day.
Yeah, Studio over here. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We're hanging out at Heartland Men's Health. We're going to Rotten Tomato it. We'll see what themes we may have. I don't know. We'll talk about that unless Mom Chilovich decides to commit in the break. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're hanging out at Heartland Men's Health today. Independence location between Blue Springs and Lee Summit. Other locations include Overland Park and North Kansas City. HeartlandMen'sHealth.com, 844-447-6600. Coming up next Wednesday with Mick Schaefer, we'll be talking a lot of NFL draft because that will be the next day. So that means we have a little bit of an opening here because, hey, Mick, would you rather play Rotten Tomatoes here or get into the Royals' offense? Should we talk about if the offense is struggling?
Well, I just looked up 2 movies for Rotten Tomatoes, and
Okay.
And I don't want to look up Isaac Collins or Vinny Pasquantino.
I don't want to look up and
I
see
don't
if
need.
they're at the
Actually, I
plate
don't
with
need
runners
to.
in scoring position.
Well, 2 days ago, I know, or 2 games ago, maybe just one game ago, Salvi and Vinny made it easy. They were both hitting the same number.
Yeah, that's
It was
true.
153.
It was
I
153.
believe.
Yeah, combined, they were a 300 hitter.
See, that's not bad. If you build it in the aggregate like Billy Bean did.
Yeah, if you just add the hits together and not add their at-bats together, they would be, because they were both like 6 for 20 or 39 or something like that. Yeah.
You need 3 different guys that can get on base at 340.
Yeah.
So you're going to build it in the aggregate of 3 different guys that will average out at 340.
That's how, like, I
Do you
can
wanna take a
bench
guess?
press 300 pounds, just 103 times. Jeez.
Mick, do you want to take a guess at what Vinny's slugging this year?
Slugging. I looked
not
that
average.
up. Right. So I looked that one up too. I'm going to say he's like 349.
You got an error message, actually.
Oh,
no,
so I'm
it's
thinking of
150
OPS. I'm thinking of OPS. That is that. So yeah,
Yeah,
200.
he's slugging 159.
Yeah.
He's slugging at somehow less than Easton weighs, and that seems
I don't
impossible.
know who that human is.
Easton, who works here at Sports Radio 810.
Oh, that Easton. Yes, I know that guy. I just
I
haven't
like
got to his
call him
last name.
Marucci.
I was thinking about, okay, what team did Easton
Yeah.
Ways
Oh, you
play
mean
for?
the great Diamondback? Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that played with Tungsten O'Doyle for a long time. That Easton. That was everybody. The guy who named the bat company. It was originally named after him. Easton Tungsten Arm O'Doyle. All right, so instead of talking about that and asking what's Vinny slugging, and the answer is he's not, then let's play some Rotten Tomatoes. Let's do that then, huh? Shall we do that? Mick, you know what? Since you've been you're working hard and doing a lot of work behind the scenes to look up movies, do you want to go first or last?
I'll go first.
Okay, great, because if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
So then you go first with your first movie.
I'll go in honor of Jackie Robinson Day. That is today, correct?
Yes.
The 15th, right? And we're in 42. In honor of that, I'm going to go with the movie 42, set in 1946, and what led to the debut of Jackie Robinson.
This side of mix. I'll go first on this one, and then Sterling, then Michael, then Mick.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to say that is going to come in at right around an 88.
For the tomato meter? 88,
for me.
okay.
Yeah, yep, for the critics.
I'll go 91.
I think the critics didn't like it as much as they should have. 85.
Michael Garcia gets it, 81%.
Oh, man.
Pretty close.
Nice job.
Why do the critics hate Jackie Robinson?
All right,
Yeah,
Sterling, the
that's
popcorn
interesting.
meter. What do the fans think?
91%.
88.
85.
2-pointer for Michael Garcia,
Set me up.
85% on the dot. It all started with Sterling, and then the dominoes fell.
Yeah,
Why
they did.
Do we all say the
people
same
hate
numbers
Jackie
for
Robinson?
both?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I think we did.
Yeah.
We just followed the theme there. Yes, we did. Michael, his favorite movie has always been 42, so he should have gotten the points on that one.
42 is the mic.
In fact, I think he should have come away with 4 points on that one if he really liked the movie, but he didn't. Only 3 points. All right, so my first movie in honor of Artemis. Dr. Ryan Stone is a medical engineer on her first shuttle mission. Her commander is veteran astronaut Matt Kowalski, helming his last flight before retirement. Then, during a routine spacewalk by the pair, disaster strikes. Who could have seen that happening? The shuttle's destroyed, leaving Ryan and Matt stranded in deep space with no link to Earth and no hope of rescue. As fear turns to panic, they realize that the only way home may be to venture further into space. It's Gravity with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
It's like Interstellar. I feel
And
like
Ed Harris
isn't it a
and
movie
George
like this
Clooney.
too? Yeah, I think when you said Artemis, it's going to be like Artemis
Interstellar
Prime.
was Matthew.
There have been
Artemis
multiple
Prime.
space movies, Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling. There's a lot of different movies about
a lot in that space, I guess.
Going to a space.
I have no idea if this is any good or not. You said Meg Ryan's in it?
Nope, Sandra Bullock. Close. You said Leo's in it? Nope, George Clooney.
You've really not heard of this movie as well?
No. Was it bad?
That was fine. It was more
So Jennifer
aesthetically.
Aniston's in this one?
It was
Jennifer Aniston in
aesthetically.
this one?
Which one from Friends was in this? It was aesthetically pleasing. It was art basically, and you wanted to see it in IMAX because it would show wide shots of the Earth and everything.
Critics like the artsy thing. So, and because Jennifer Coolidge is in it, I'll go 86%.
What do you say, Michael?
I'm not a huge space movie guy, but I think the critics might be. But I'll say 78.
You like your movies on Earth?
I do.
Yeah, I think didn't she have to learn Russian and to get the manual all figured out to get back home? I think that was the case. What are our guesses? Sorry, I'm.
Sterling, what'd you say?
I had 78.
86 and 78. Oh man, where do I go on this one? Oh man,
you know where to go.
I'll go in between 83.
That is a winner for Sterling. 96.
Man, no way.
96.
Well, I told you, dude. Well, because the critics love them art things.
Cinematography and all of that stuff. And, it is one of those movies that you wanted to see in the movie theater because of the visuals and everything. All right, we'll start with you, Michael. What's the popcorn say? What do the fans think of Gravity?
89.
84.
I can't go in between. There's 5 in the. I can't do
Yeah,
it.
you can't do it.
Not allowed to. I guess 92.
That would be Mick Schaefer, 79.
Yeah, I didn't want to go 3. I want to make sure. Yeah.
Yep, that's a good call.
That was smart. That's just strategy.
79 for the fans and the popcorn. 96 for the critics. It is Sterling's first movie.
This movie, when a mass of sharknadoes threaten Florida, chainsaw-wielding hero Finn must risk again his life to save his children on spring break. As he fights his way south, the sharknadoes merge and grow bigger than ever before. This is Sharknado 3. Oh, hell no.
Yep, Meg Ryan
what's
was in this one.
What's the reason for this movie? Is it any reason whatsoever?
I'd rather watch this than the Royals offense.
That's pretty good.
Things I'd rather watch than the Royals offense.
It's literally called Sharknado 3. Oh, hell no. And that's what the Royals do with runners in scoring position.
Is it still Ian Ziering in this one?
Oh, let me see. Yeah, Ian Ziering is Finn. Tara Reid's in this.
Tara Reid's in it, yeah.
Frankie Muniz is in it. David Hasselhoff is in it.
We got all the 90s
Don't
stars.
hassle the Hoff.
This is a huge squad. Big
Don't
crew.
hassle the Hoff. All right.
So what do you guys think for Sharknado 3? Oh, hell no.
Oh, man.
It's going to be a big critic score.
I'm going to say 42. And I don't feel comfortable with that.
That's the name of my movie earlier, right?
Yeah.
15.
Ooh. I'm going to go somewhere in the middle, but 15 seems right about there. But
I know, I was reading your mind.
I think I've got more wiggle room between 15 and Michael. So I'm going to say 34.
72.
No, come
Oh, my God. I was like, oh, my God. That would be awesome.
He doesn't get it.
Jason gets it 36%.
Oh, okay.
I really thought it was 70. I wish it was 70%. I wish that was a 70%
Somehow, of
movie.
all the Sharknado movies, they loved this one. But hear me out.
What?
Was it a cult classic?
I mean, you've
Nick,
heard of it.
Was it a cult classic?
No. And my guess is going to be 36.
It's actually, oh, hell no.
Oh, my gosh. Which way to go from there? I'm gonna lean on low. I'm gonna go 22.
Higher, lower. This is one to where I think the fans will. Man, the fans like Gravity less than the critics because it was all like the cinema. I don't think the critics are looking at how well the sharks were shot in this. What'd you say, Mick?
22, I think.
I'll go 19.
I think this is a cult classic. 25.
Dang it.
It was a cult classic. 29%.
Oh,
29.
29%. Michael Darcy. Nice job.
By the way, somehow the critics liked this movie
right.
more than the fans.
Yeah.
The critics said Sharknado 3, oh, hell no. More like, oh, hell yes.
I think at that point, it was just going to be fun to just pan Sharknado, even 3, even if it was better than 1 or 2.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's probably right. Michael, your first movie?
Well, my theme actually is the Royals offense, and my first movie is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
What's the good?
There's not
Which
really
is
any
the good part?
I'll say Carter
Isbell?
Jensen. Kyle Isbell.
Yeah, Isbell. Carter.
Garcia. Garcia's been good.
Garcia's been
good.
Bobby's on base. Yeah, some good.
What is it now, like 32 times and he scored 1 run?
It's not great, Bob. That's what it is. Mick, what did the good, the bad, and the ugly? What did the critics think of that one? Can we get a description?
So
of
this
year?
is the
this a
original
remake?
one, right?
This is
Like
original?
Clint
This is the
Eastwood?
original with Clint Eastwood.
Like 1973 or something like that?
1967.
Close enough.
Over 2.5 hours long.
That was that long back then. Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's go. I'm gonna go. 78.
91.
88.
Jason gets it 97%.
Man, they love
yeah.
that. Wow.
They liked that one. They liked it. But was it a cult? It probably was. I'm going to stay with my original pick, 91.
88.
85.
Jason gets again 97% for the fans.
Yes.
Wow,
Man,
they
it's a
love
good
that
movie, not that
Over
good.
They thought that
100,000
was
people.
good. They thought that was the great, the bad, and the ugly.
Good soundtrack.
That was a bad one, Mick. Don't laugh at that. You made me feel bad.
All right, let's rip through these ones.
Mick, your second movie. By the way, the score is 4 for Michael, 3 for me, and 1 apiece for Mick and
Instead of the good, bad, and the ugly, it was the great, the okay, and when she takes her glasses off, she's not bad.
Am I a bad? Am I a freaking bad?
84%.
The fans loved it.
Yeah,
Freddie Prince was in it.
Yes.
So I'm going to say 96.
Okay, am I
all right,
my second one? In honor of Tax Day, I'm going to do Stranger Than Fiction. Will Ferrell, like a serious role. Maggie Gyllenhaal, and he was an auditor, and he came to like Auditor Bakery or whatever, and she just didn't want to pay taxes, and he was trying to deal with that, but also attracted to her. PG-13, 2006.
That whole situation was Stranger Than Fiction. You know what I mean?
I have no idea what we're talking about now.
I'm going to say that this was one that I thought was going to be good, but I think I remember the
Kind of
critics not
slow.
liking
It was like when Farrell
Yeah.
and Sandler decided, hey, I'm going to do like Punch Drunk Love. I'm going to do my one
Yeah,
serious
that's right.
role. Yeah.
I'm going to show you guys that I can be a serious actor. I'm going to say 43%.
I was going to say 42. That's funny.
Shut up.
I'll go 46.
Okay.
Give me
Michael?
49.
Wait,
You barely get it,
Thanks.
Michael. 73.
What?
Just sliding in by 1.
The critics liked that? Okay.
It involved
Sterling?
a lot of acting and probably some tears, and it was
Oh, yeah,
slow.
that's
You
right.
should have factored that in.
I'll go 50. I'll go 50.
For the fans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael.
I'll say Sterling went 50. I'll say 70.
60.
Michael again, 85%. Well, people liked it.
You guys have convinced me that movie was buns, and apparently it was pretty good.
I never saw it because it looked buns.
The description
all right,
is
so-
a mentally unstable IRS auditor. Hears an author's voice in his head and discovers
We
that
gotta
he
rip
is an
through
ill-fated.
this.
Okay, sir.
All right, when astronauts blast off from planet Mars, they leave behind Mark Watney, otherwise known as Mark Wahlberg. He grows potatoes with his poop.
Matt Damon, right?
It's Matt Damon, yes. It's called Meg Ryan's in it, along with Jeff Daniels and Michael Pena and Amy Poehler. I mean, Kristen
Sure,
Wiig.
everybody, yeah.
It's The Martian.
Yep.
Sterling, critics, The Martian.
74.
Michael,
88.
80.
Mick.
80.
Dude, it was right there, Mick. It was right there.
I should have
91.
91.
Michael Darcy
Man, they
gets
are
it.
really liking these. space
88.
movies.
Yeah, these are, you guys
He said
picked too
80.
many good movies.
Shut up. Michael, you're up first with the, what are the fans? What's the popcorn, huh?
95.
85.
Mick.
91.
Mick, why are you doing this to yourself?
Is it
2 points for Sterling, 91%. 2 points for Sterling.
Both times.
You had both of those, Mick.
I know, ball.
Michael set you up for both of them.
I just
and
didn't
you
think it
skipped
was
over.
that great of a movie. Okay.
They grow tomatoes with poop. Anyway, go ahead, Sterling, your second movie.
Set on the last day of camp in the hot summer of 1981, this movie follows a group of counselors who were each trying to compete and finish their unfinished business before the day ends. Sexual
We have to rip
frustration.
through this. Just say the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
The minds and groins of counselors and people alike. This has a lot of cast. It is.
Oh, my God.
We're still doing this.
David Hyde Pierce, Paul Reed,
Sterling.
Michael
God.
Showalter.
You're giving
Wet
me
Hot
a
American
stroke.
Summer.
Wet Hot American Summer. Michael?
Give me
Critics.
42.
Sterling.
50? 50?
70.
39.
Damn
Good
it.
job, Darcy. But was it a cult classic? Wet Hot American
Dominating.
Summer. Was it a cult classic?
Mick?
I'm going to say 59.
50.
72.
It was a cult classic, Darcy. 75%.
This is his
Darcy's
day.
killing it right
It's his
now.
day. It's
Darcy's
not Earth Day.
killing
It's
it
not
right
Jackie
now.
Robinson Day. It's Michael Darcia Day.
That's right. Last one for you. Last one, Michael.
My movie, Will Ferrell, Robert Duvall, Kicking and Screaming.
Oh, that's a good one. But the critics are going to say that's a 61.
Yeah, the juice box guy. I'm going to say that is 60 from the critics.
I said 61.
Yeah, you got.
Sorry, 55. My bad. I thought you said 70.
I'll go 52.
It's 41. Sterling gets it.
Boom, no ball.
Sterling right there. And kicking and screaming, I'll say that's 65 for the popcorn.
Oh, that's me. I will go 62.
68.
44.
Stu gets it again.
Stu gets it again. Michael Darcy wins with 9.
Wow. Well done.
9 to 4 to 3 to 1.
I have so
the
many
final
people
score
that I
there.
want to thank.